All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I am here with with Jakova once again. Say hello, Jakova.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm always here with Pally time, but very rarely I'm here with Jakova. So Jakova wants us to take a little bit of a pit stop. Oh, fair warning. Apparently, my mic is cutting out on Jakova's end a little bit from time to time, but I looked at the recording, and the recording is fine. So you guys are going to hear me fine. We're going to be hearing Jakova fine, but sometimes Jakova's not going to be hearing me fine, and you'll just have to speak up and yell at me and be like, "Why the hell do you have to live in China, you piece of shit?" So this comment that Drakova wants to talk a little bit about has to do with healing in battlegrounds. This guy is basically trying to make the point that paladins are dog shit healers in BGs. He's got some elements that I definitely agree with and that Drakova most likely agrees with, but he wants to go into more detail as to what exactly he thinks of the subject. So I'm going to read the comment real fast and we're going to get into it. So the comment is, Paladin is the worst PvP healer in Classic, complete and absolute trash. Only one school of magic, if interrupted, then rendered useless. Worst healing spells. I suppose like worst healing spells of the classes. Flash of Light is a joke compared to other lesser heals. Heals times 2 less. Holy Light is bad too, low healing and long cast. Susceptible to interrupts, needs to spam useless. Flash of Lights to keep people up, and Holy Shock is rank 1 mess in the history of the game's healing spells. So he's saying Holy Shock is terrible. No instant heals. Massive out-of-range issues on the battlefield. This is if you're playing with complete retards. Hard to follow warriors, aka retards. Buffs have, this is me putting that in, by the way. Buffs have long CD, can be easily dispelled, and are basically weaker versions of alchemy potions, aka FAP. Makes you immune to stun, and you can use physical abilities under the effects of. And let's see. FAP makes you immune to stun, and you can use physical abilities under the effects of Lip. Is that true? Can you use physical abilities under the
yep, you can
effects?
still auto, still wreck bomb
Wow, I
people.
didn't know that. That wasn't like that on private,
Really?
was it? No, I didn't know that, bro.
Yep, most privates,
Oh,
almost all of them had it
I've never
done
used a
like
lip
that
potion. Like,
correctly.
I've never used a lip
Really?
potion. No.
Okay.
The only time I've ever seen them being used against me is fucking mages. So, nah, I never noticed that. Okay. Bubble is a massively overrated tool. I kind of agree with this. You can heal unhindered, but your heals are so bad that your teammate's still going to die in many cases. Damage and healing reduction effects in Classic are way stronger than healing, especially that of Paladins. Worst itemization ever. No good healing played until Nax. Good luck out healing 4K Shadow Bolt crits, I'm assuming, with your pathetic 1.3K Flash of Lights. And that is the end of the comment. So, what do you have to say about this?
Well, there's a lot, so we'll probably have to go line through line. In general, I think this person was being a little bit hyperbolic, and I bet they were gonna expect me to be like all ragey and say why they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I kind of agree. And why it's going to be confusing, or why a lot of holy paladins are going to feel like they're good. Well, they are good, but this guy is actually talking more about the non-pug, higher in,
Ah.
like
Yeah, where
higher
people
in
are very
gameplay,
coordinated to fuck you in the
very
ass.
coordinated, exactly.
Okay.
And so your average Joe might not know that actually they think they're building like the ultimate healer, but actually
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because everyone demands you to play Holy Paladin, but it actually kind of isn't as good as people think. So I kind of agree, but I'm
I.
going to go in
Okay,
why I
okay,
did and do
okay.
agree. Let's go
Okay,
line by
okay.
line because there's too
Alright.
much to be said at
Alright.
any one thing.
Alright. You want me to
So,
do the lines, or you got it pulled up?
uh, yeah, just start even with the first line. Just do the
Alright,
first line.
alright. Let's see. Only one school of magic. If interrupted, you're
No,
rendered
no, no, no.
useless. Okay.
No, no.
Worst.
Let's start off with this.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
first
I'll
line.
say it. No, no. Paladin is the worst PvP healer in Classic.
That's not
Complete
a. That's
and
not a.
absolute
That's not a
trash.
point. That's a general statement, and then he's
No,
listing his
no, no,
points.
no, 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 no. It's a point because right away
Uh huh.
it's being hyper.
Okay. Okay.
It might actually be true,
Yeah.
but to say complete and absolute trash, in my opinion,
All
is
right. All
hyperbolic.
right.
So
All
that
right.
might make some of the other points seem like
Ah,
almost like a rage venting a little. Like,
okay.
it lets you know that the whole thing has a bit of a bias to it.
Okay.
So, but
But okay,
there's okay.
if we
Next
objectively,
line, go for it.
well, let's
Oh,
just pause for a sec. If you want to go line by line, that's fine. Are they objectively the worst healers? I would say druids are kind of dog shit, but at least they can keep up with people. Like, I don't know.
I actually think they might be objectively worst healer if you define the context around them, which I have a theory about what class this player plays, which is going to be Ellie, Shaman, Warlock, or Mage. And if you're coming from that perspective,
Yeah.
you probably do think Holy Paladin is the absolute worst. I could be wrong. I don't know what he plays.
Yeah,
But
holy paladins don't have a lot of counters to nukes. Like at least holy priests, for example, they can put the power word shield on people, and it's like a good. The priests have good instant heals, is what I'm saying. Whereas a paladin kind of
yeah,
has to charge
no
up and
instant
shit.
cast, which is a big part of
Right,
why
and we'll get into that. So okay,
and late
so
game is so bursty. But okay, next
all
line.
right, next line. Only one school of magic, if interrupted, rendered useless. I kind of agree with this. Like I've seen struggles
And
when there's like three rogues on three healers, and nobody's helping with this. It's like, guys, help, help! I'm being repressed.
this is kind of important though, because it's like you could say like, well, all the classes have one school to heal with, kind of for
Right.
the most part.
Well, it goes back to that instant heal problem. At least they can get around that with their instant
Exactly.
heals.
So the other classes can actually, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're not going to do anything to pressure me. You're not putting like a real stun on me. I can be throwing out instants, and
Yes.
they might not be as good,
Right.
but they're enough to pad incoming
They're
damage.
they're
Whereas,
and they're definitely enough for you to solve the situation of the rogue on you while keeping people alive in order to get back into the better heals. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, rogues don't do too much damage to well geared, redemption geared paladin
Well, yeah,
late game.
that's not the point. We're talking
But
about them not letting you fucking heal. It's like, oh shit, I got
yeah,
a rogue on me. I can't cast any charging heal. That's not going to be a thing. I need to get this bitch off me, and then you get the point.
so you're super vulnerable to interrupts, except for when you're shield, but that's one every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's not
So
a good
you're
thing.
super vulnerable to interrupts, and you kind of have to do real casting, whereas some other classes really can do some work. They can get by for a little bit with literally nothing but instant casting.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, and that affects the fact that we have one school of magic even more.
Hmm.
So it gets silenced, you're really shut down. All right,
So
let's go to the next line.
yeah,
Or
no,
you say
I'm
something.
gonna make my point. So when I think of rogue on me and I can't heal, I think of rogue who popped FAP on me and I can't heal, and I need to deal with that situation before I can start healing again. Right? Like somebody needs
I
to either
think of
come and rescue me, or I need to turn around and wreck bomb this rogue into annihilation. You know what I mean?
But my biggest thing actually isn't the rogue, because at least with the rogue you
Yeah.
can stun, or I mean, he's doing so little damage to you. He probably should have picked a different target to be wailing on. Because I
Okay.
mean, even if he's saving his energy and he's just kind of like kicking you or
So you're
something, or
thinking
gouging you.
counter spell then?
Counter spell, exactly. So, but see, because the mage doesn't have to dedicate hardly anything.
Ah.
An enemy mage can be sitting at 30 yards and be very threatening to your ability to heal.
Gotcha.
And he's not paying for it. Like a rogue is not doing something else if
Yeah.
he's doing that to you. And people say, "Oh, well, he can sap you." And it's like you can use sacrifice to get out of sap. So that's not really the argument. It's a mage would be not dedicating anything to you hardly, and he can just counterspell you as soon as you go for a flashlight. And worse than that, he can flash on top of you and counterspell.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say
you're
I don't think counterspell's on a GCD, so he can blink and counterspell, and it's like crap.
yeah.
So yeah. No, I kind of agree with this. Um,
So
now
that's a
I
really good thing that bash
I
Holy
I,
Pallies with.
I will point out though that cleanse is still a instant cast spell. So when I'm healing in battlegrounds as a paladin, I'm a much bigger fan of the priests being the primary healers, and then you as the paladin just kind of have cleanse and emergency healing duty. Does that make sense? You're a
This
freedom
is where
bot.
we sneak
You're
red in.
Yeah, I know,
You
right?
see what I'm going?
I
This is
know,
where you
I know,
sneak other
I
specs in.
agree. Did you see my video on paladins and BGs at
No, I
all?
didn't.
Okay,
But okay,
I never talk about how amazing healers they are. I talk about how overpowered cleanse is. I'm like, it's like fuck freedoms at the
exactly.
higher level. Cleanse is
But
amazing. So
yeah, freedom sucks because it just gets
it just
dispelled,
gets yeah, it
especially
just
the
gets
higher end
dispelled.
it gets.
Yeah, which is why you're cleansing
Like
more
if you're
than
in
you're
a really,
freedoming.
really, really high end fight. Okay, well I'll get into it
All right,
more.
yeah, yeah. Next line, next
Um,
line. Okay,
there was something else I wanted to say now, but I damn it. Okay, just keep going.
something about ret because we're eventually going on. Why
No.
cleanse is amazing, red is amazing.
Oh,
Make your
it was
priests the
okay.
healers.
Cleanse,
All
and
right.
scaling.
Okay.
This is kind of important thing. So, very early game, high end pre-mades, like things like Viper Sting that don't really scale too hard,
Yeah.
have a huge effect. Like what type of damage warlocks do is a lot more like dot heavy, but once you get to ultra late next, it's like really bursty, right? And
Yeah.
like so if everything's really bursty, things that tick down over time become less important.
Yeah.
So Vipers, I'm going to use Viper Sting because it's a perfect example.
Okay.
Some hunter is just putting Viper Sting on everyone, and your job as the paladin is to have some sort of add-on, so you're removing those Viper Stings like is just instantly, right?
Yeah.
With cleanse. But if you get the ultra late game, it's kind of like okay, they mortal strike that target, and a warlock and a mage combine their instant attacks and lit him up, and he's dead. And like Viper Sting didn't matter.
Correct.
You see,
Yeah.
so
And
it's something to think about.
yeah.
Like the value of cleanse does deteriorate a little bit because of burst.
And CC becomes much more powerful because of burst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on
Which
to
is
the
why
next line.
cleanse
So
is
he had a good point there.
yeah, let's keep going. Okay. All right. Worst healing spells. Flash of Light is a joke compared to other lesser heals. Heals times 2 less. Holy Light is bad too. Low healing and long cast.
I mean, I'll let you start. I have a lot to say on that.
Um, I
I agree.
I both agree and I disagree in the sense that when I'm healing in battlegrounds, I never fuck around with Flash of Light. Like I've learned the hard way that if I'm flashing of lightning, people are gonna die. So it's like I don't care if I myself, I'm just gonna use Flash of Lights. So, but
So
I still think priests are better though. So it's like, like I can't argue with it.
yeah,
But
you brought up a good point, and I actually this is very complicated. It has a lot to be said about it. Worst healing spells,
yeah,
they are kind of bad. If you go into a BG and you're fighting skilled opponents, like this is pre-made versus pre-made, and
no,
these are,
I agree. I when I
you
when I
literally you
yeah
running around.
when I see Paladins flash of lighting in BGs, especially if there's multiple targets assailing the thing you're trying to heal, my brain literally dies because I'm like, what are you doing? You're not.
I do it all the time, and my target dies because it's
Yeah,
not enough healing.
yeah. You don't do that.
I
You
know.
do holy
I'm
light,
guilty of it.
but you're a
I
man.
sometimes I
Yeah.
come out of PVE after PVEing for a
Yeah.
long time, and then I go into a BG, and I'm like, I really should have gone for a holy light instead of a flashlight.
Yeah.
But this segues into some other things,
Okay.
so I'm going to try to get into these things. So this means flashlight literally doesn't actually heal enough, right?
Yes.
And holy light drains a lot of mana, but that's not too big of a problem because at
Yeah.
least you have illumination,
Well,
and illumination kind of helps with the cost.
the fights usually don't the fight is usually determined by the time you're gonna have mana issues of casting holy light, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, I lost my notes in it. I didn't have notes, but I had the thing pulled up.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree. Like, if you're lighting, your targets are probably going to die unless the fight was so easy that you were going to win anyways.
Which is
like,
so you might as well flash of light because you're just gonna get
like
drinking.
if you're a pre-made fighting a
holy light.
pug, you can flashlight. Yeah, but if you're fighting pre-made versus pre-made, the focus and the damage is going to be so high, you have to holy light. So this once again leads into an interesting thing where the setup of positioning for the important critical holy lights is so important. So what does this mean? This means that repentance and bubble, so secondary healer, is where the paladin is best, because a few critical, well-placed holy lights is where you shine. Like your main healer gets silenced and you're playing
Yes.
31 ret.
Yes.
And now you throw out a repentance on the one guy who hasn't used his counter spell, and you throw out the biggest heal you can.
Well,
You see?
the way I see it is it's like the reason why you primarily look at yourself as a cleansing bot as a holy paladin, your cleansing bot emergency heals. And the reason why you're so terrifying to the horde, in my opinion, is because yeah, they can CC the shit out of the priests, but they can't stop you. Typically because you have bubble. You know what I mean? Like any
Yeah.
CC they throw at you, they can't really stop you from cleansing the other fucking healers, from blessing of protectioning the other healers out of sap, right? They can't stop you from making that priest able to heal. Right, they can throw a counter spell at you, but if you're not healing and you're just waiting to get the priests out of their shit, they can't throw a counter spell at you. So they try to CC the priest. That doesn't work because of the paladin. The paladin's not making himself vulnerable to a counter spell. So then they're like, well, shit. Okay, now we have to do some real hard CC on this priest. We have to counterspell the priest now, but then the paladin takes over as the emergency healer temporarily. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I see things going. How things go bad is if you run out there and you start trying to charge up the heal spell, a mage blink forward counterspells you, and then now they're free to CC your priests, and people start dying. That's how I see it the opening, at least.
And this brings up a whole nother thing, which talks about late game scaling. Like these kind of emergency, like how much time you have to react to emergency ultra late game literally might be under global cooldown time.
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason why Holy Paladin does kind of fall off, because like if the priest is like has even a soft CC on it, and then they go all in somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because if you have 2 or 3 guys, that means they have 2 or 3 guys. That means they can assign their DPS to one target and really light them up, and you have no ability to like dampen the all in. So early on, when people can't all in as well, your ability to emergency heal is better.
Yes.
Sort of. It's better, but at the same time, bubble, as the game goes on, bubble becomes more and more important because everyone's more bursty. So
and your 6-second stun and kind of being more in the fray than far back, in my opinion. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, if you're cleansing, you can get in closer because you're still being effective. But
a lot of times that 6-second stun is, I think, worth a lot. But I'm not talking like you're up in front line with the warrior. I'm talking like the priest is trying to stay as far back as possible. You're a bit ahead forward. You're like 10 yards more forward than that.
I don't know. Some priests dive in and they just rely on their fear, but they usually get sandwiched by melee if they do that. So I don't know. Yeah. It's hard for me to think of every scenario and then definitively say that or this.
What I find really interesting at the higher level ends of pre-made is I think the goal stops being trying to keep your warriors alive. And the goal starts becoming just win the fucking fight whether or not your front line gets clapped. You know what I mean? So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, my front line's eventually gonna die. Like let's say you took an MS warrior or 2 MS warriors, and eventually they're gonna get popped, right?
Or maybe instantly.
Right.
But yeah, keep going.
If it cost the enemy team too much of their burst, too much of their CDs, too much of their mana, that they can no longer win that fight, I'm still happy with the outcome. Like I might be getting bitched at as
anyone who if you take 1 or 2 guys out early, you usually win anyways. So
right, early, which means I can't let them
even
die
if they invest heavily.
Right, but you get the point. I need at least of those targets to take like 10 seconds to die, maybe 15 seconds, right? And then you can I don't know, the hoarder mana inefficient.
With counters with counter spell though, it's like that's a long time to stay alive. But okay, let's just say let's simplify this. In general, I agree with that though. Like the heals are bad.
Yeah.
And like they have a long cast time, and it's really about getting a few critical holy lights in because flash isn't really doing anything.
And when we say critical, we're not meaning actual crits. We're talking like key timing wise criticals. Like tempo criticals. Like your healers are CC'd. You
did a big heal while your healers were silenced,
Yeah,
and then you got.
and
But
that he
that's kind of low value. I mean, compared to
yeah.
someone who's consistently healing really well, that is actually kind of low value. So I do kind of agree with that statement.
Well,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, what
you
I've
bubbled or repentanced or you got an angle from a building and you got a big heal, but that's
what
not nearly as like someone a priest who's.
what I love doing is I love looking at the situation, and if one of my favorite tactics is to actually bop the warrior. Um, and the major reason for that is because not that I'm expecting it not to be dispelled almost instantly. It's that it removes Mortal Strike. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it'll be bop the warrior and then critical holy shock on the
Bop
warrior
them, and
and then
they
go for a
often
heal.
remove it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really just an excuse for. Actually, and here's actually something you guys should really consider in team fights. Don't There might be too much distance between the time between the time you cast your next holy light. So you bop, and then you're stuck in a GCD, and then you want to cast a holy light, right? What you do is you bop your warrior, so the other healer in your group's heal doubles up.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's how you do it. So you're cleansing, and you bop time to the other healer next to you, so that their heal doubles, and then you remove it with sacrifice, or you let the horde dispel it because they usually have a lot of dispellers. That's what I'm talking. That's an instant CC thing you can do that can help your viability. Like I said, if you just run out there and spam holy light against good players, you're so easy to shut down. So
It's
easy.
also good to note that Mortal Strike has a 6 second cooldown and a 10 second duration, so you can kind of time it with the Mortal Strike. We can also time it with the heals, so either one works. But just temporarily doubling that healing capacity is
If
will
I
just
see
make it go.
like my other partners, another paladin, and I see him going for a big divine favor holy light,
Hmm.
just to if he's about our warriors about to get clapped, you can throw bop on them. He gets the full divine thing, and then like you might actually even half a second of preventing an execute or something like
Oh yeah, it's
you
good
might
shit.
just
No,
prevent the clap.
it's a total
So
legit
put
use of it. So you use it for saps and you use it for removing mortal strikes, in my opinion. And I can't think of any
yeah,
other times to
not
use it.
necessarily like I'm gonna bop myself to get more heals because honestly, people are just gonna silence you through the
Yeah, yeah,
bop or grenade you through the bop
no,
anyways.
that's a complete
Okay,
waste.
so
All right.
in general, I agree with that. The heals kind of suck, so your mainstay
Well,
healing
well,
power is bad. But
yeah, but the takeaway of the story is do not flash of light in battlegrounds
no,
and
I don't think so. I think
yeah.
it's fine.
Well,
But
there's a few instances to flash of light, but most of the time, if shit is real, if shit is going down,
okay,
find your
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
holy light.
and I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
if they're really lighting up your target and you're flashing, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah,
It's not.
pretty
Okay,
much.
let's go to the next one.
All right, so susceptible to interrupts, needs to spam useless flash of lights to keep people up, and holy shock is crap. Holy shock is crap. So I think we talked about this already. Needs to spam useless flash of lights. That's why you don't use flash of light. And holy shock is dog shit. So let's actually focus in on why holy shock is or is not dog shit. I think it's not bad because in those critical moments, which is what you're really looking for, the priests are the main healers. You're kind of more of a support. Holy shock is kind of legit. Does that make sense? Like, I bop the warrior, and then I'm immediately going for that holy shock. And this is while my
Yeah,
priests are counterspelled.
yeah, or while someone else is about to heal because it's an instant. I mean, it is kind of shit
It's on a
though.
20-second
I mean,
cooldown. It is shit, but it's
I thought it
like...
was longer.
I think it's 20 seconds, bro. Is it 30? Fuck life if it's 30.
I thought it was 30. Maybe I'm blind, dumb.
No,
I've been using this for years.
I
Let
never
me go
use it.
look.
I never use it, so I would not know.
Let me go look.
All right.
I'm gonna literally.
Do we go to Wowhead?
30 second. Yeah,
30
you
seconds?
confused me when you
Okay.
said 20. I was like, really?
Not 20
Okay.
seconds? Oh, God, that sucks. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's still...
it is kind of shit. Honestly, I mean, it's
It's emergency
needed.
heal only. It's the same. It's the
Yeah,
same way
it's
you
a
use
needed
it in
talent,
raids, where it's like, oh,
but
I
it's
need
not
to
good
move
enough.
now, and I need to heal. Okay, let's use this thing. Oh shit, I need healing now. Use this thing. Like there. Yeah.
It's no. Honestly, it's the range, it's the values it gets, and it's the cooldown. I mean, it's just not enough.
No,
So
I agree.
whatever.
It is dog shit, but there are moments when you need an instant heal. What does it heal
I
for?
like
Since
it
I
more
never
in
use it.
dueling, more than like
What
a
does it heal
like
for? Since
Battleground.
I've never used the damn thing, I assume it heals for like
I don't
1500.
know, not enough. It's fine. Let's just move on. It doesn't heal for enough. I mean,
Eh.
it doesn't. What else am I supposed to say? It's just not that good.
Okay. All right.
It's nice that
I'll
it
take
can
your word
double up
for
his
it.
damage, but it's not worth that
Are you
much.
sure you don't
Especially when you're.
are you sure you don't want to try to remember what it heals for, because we're gonna get a lot of hate on
No,
this that we don't know what it
no, I
heals
don't.
for.
Why does that matter? You just know that it's not enough. I mean, move on.
Okay.
It doesn't heal for very much.
All right. Even
I don't
after
know. I don't even know what the ratio is on it. I just know it's not very good.
even after a bop, it doesn't heal for enough. Like, it's not worth your
Yeah.
time to bop and then do it and then go into a bigger heal.
No, I mean, of course, it's worth it. I
Yeah.
mean, it just like I said, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Usually that Earth Shock comes in and critical
even if
hit
your
just
best
explodes.
option,
It's like, okay.
it's your best option, and it's still a bad option. So,
Yeah. Okay.
anyways,
Next one.
well, what do you think of Holy Shock? Like, I use it more as like a dueling mechanic, like re-stealth.
I used it a little bit on Hen House. I took one look at the ratios, its healing, its damage, and I was like, what a piece of crap. Let's go get Reckoning. And I never looked at it again.
But it is nice. Like, I mean, it's something that's needed badly on the class. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't say needed, but like it helps the class a lot because it solves a lot of problems. But it's just so bad, ratio wise and range and cooldown wise, that it's still bad.
It's not even that it's garbage. It's just it's garbage compared to other things you could get, or other things you could be doing. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd rather have repentance.
Oh.
If they put repentance at the end of the holy tree, I would take that.
Oh yeah,
100% of the time.
Totally.
100%.
The other thing you can ask yourself is like say one of your priests is sheeped, right? And the warrior needs healing. This is the scenario: sheep, and this fucker needs a heal. Do I ignore the sheep and I holy shock the warrior, or do I cleanse the fucking priest and let him use his instant heals? Let him bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, go bubble my warrior.
Yeah, is it competing with cleanse is what you're saying.
Right. Cleanse
is actually good.
And it's the same issue with bop. It's like, do I bop the warrior who desperately needs a heal, or do I holy shock the warrior who desperately needs a heal? And the answer is I bop and I pray to the RNG gods, because holy shock is not
cleanse really is our best spell. That's kind of funny to think about. Okay, so
yeah.
In general, I agree. Yeah.
So in my PvP guide video, I blather on about how amazing cleanse is by comparison.
You are super susceptible to interrupts, and as the skill cap gets higher, people are not going to miss those opportunities.
No, they're not. No,
they're gonna get. They're gonna land. They're gonna be like, oh, interrupt. Mouse over, interrupt, silenced. You're fucked.
Especially with the counter.
Oh, your whole team loses now.
They really like holding those counter spells for you because. Well,
because you can't bubble anymore.
I think they prefer. No, you can bubble out of a counter spell. No, can you? No, you can bubble.
Nope, it's holy.
What?
Nope.
Yeah, you're right.
Counter spell, you cannot.
You think I would know that from dueling priests or mages, but
nope.
Weird. Anyways,
so you got so much just bad peace server stuff in your head. Sorry.
No, it's not that. It's just I forget things randomly. Like, that's literally what it is. I literally forget things randomly. Like for example, every time a mage counterspells me, I'm so fucking tanky that it doesn't matter. Like
okay, and that actually brings up another point I want to bring up right now.
Okay.
Which is the holy duelist, holy literally everything takes a pretty big hit with spell pin coming out phase 5.
Yeah.
So this goes back to my thing about holy getting weaker in later patches. Like, the redeeming thing is how good redemption set is, but judgment gets instantly big fat nerfed as soon as phase 5 comes out because of the AV spell pin ring, because silence, if you're in phase 1 and you have Lawbringer on,
you're talking judgment set, specifically the nerf on its resists, which nerfs the overall set.
Because you're instantly losing, okay, let's use judgment. You're instantly losing 10 arcane resist,
40 resist, just off the board.
Well, yeah, but you're losing,
I know,
chance to resist silences and stuff, and These kind of, and then like your chance to be all in
Hmm.
when you don't have any just random resist sitting around is a
I,
lot higher.
I
It makes a
agree.
big difference.
I agree.
Over,
Um,
so let's say you have 4.9k HP as a healer, like you're stacking a lot of healer,
yeah.
a lot of health, and you have like 30 fire resist. Okay, 30 fire resist spread across 4.9k health, and they're using. I'm just picking on fire. Let's just use ice because people are more familiar with being ice bolted. Okay,
Okay. Oh shit. The fuck? Your VPN has died, good
like
sir. Oh, hold on a sec. Timeout. Can you hear me?
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pause real fast. My VPN just decided fuck life. Oh, it turned back on. Okay, never mind. Let's continue.
No, you never really cut out. It's still recording.
No, yeah, I'm still recording, but my VPN died, so it cut out there for a second. So
Well,
start
it
again. You were
couldn't have
talking
died
about
too much because I'm in Texas. So
your. Thank you. That's very lovely. Anyways, I'm not talking to you. My game is just telling me VPN reconnected. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. So frost bolts. Continue.
yeah, okay. So what I'm trying to say is like just 30 frost resist is a big difference over like 5k HP.
Yes.
Like so having like it's a big difference. Like it can save you like 700 HP easily.
Yes.
It can totally do that, and that can make an all-in fail. Like if you get silenced,
No, I agree.
like but that
And
just kind of goes away
and
come
I was going to ask you
Melpin patch.
how much does Obsidian Shield and Obsidian Breastplate counter the loss?
Thick obsidian wristlet. That's more of a dueling item. I wouldn't probably use that in pre-made
Oh
since it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
doesn't have a.
But you know me, I'm interested in dueling them, and I don't
I
know
don't
phase
know
five, so.
because it's gonna be different come
Hmm.
live compared to P servers, but it was
Oh,
ridiculously OP on P servers. So
interesting.
super good item.
But you're talking Obsidian Breastplate. What about the shield?
Oh, the
Yeah.
jagged obsidian shield. It's I mean, it's a pretty good shield. It
It might
just
be
doesn't
interesting with
really.
spell batching. Like, I'm not
It,
entirely sure how it's going to
the
work with
thing on
spell
it with
batching.
the five, because the problem is it only stops one school of magic. So like
Ah,
you're fighting a mage and they're all ending you, and their damage will go down if they can't use the school of magic they want, but not that much
yeah.
because they can just pick the other school of magic. So it's a little gimmicky and overrated, but I wouldn't say it's a good item to build if you don't have a PvP shield yet. But if you already have a pretty good PvP shield, yeah, maybe I probably wouldn't bother with it. But um, that being said, it's not out yet, so it's hard to guess the meta
Yeah.
without the item being out. So
Well, the other thing that's really hard to guess is it's very easy for us paladins to actually get. Oh, okay, for holy paladins at least, for us to get like really chunky hit pointed gear. But I've noticed the casters really struggle to get the DPS gear. But we can talk about that later. Let's continue on with this subject. I'm comparing it to
oh
Hen House though. Like on Hen House, they had everything they could possibly want, and I was still dueling them in tier 2 basically. But on actual classic, I'm in tier 2, but they don't have everything they want, and I'm starting to notice the difference. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, tier. If you're going for set gear for paladins, it's not that hard to get. But if you're going red,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's a whole other story. But
Dragon's
yeah, set
Blood
gear is not hard to
Cave,
get.
hard to get. Ring of Reckoning, kind of hard to get. Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Okay,
All right,
so
let's continue. All right,
yeah.
so we did susceptible to interrupts. Now we're on no instant heals. I think we talked about this a little bit. Massive out of range issues. Okay, this is a bigger deal. No instant heals. He leads into massive out of range issues on the battlefield, i.e., it's hard to follow warriors. This is kind of
Wait.
the
Let me.
warriors' fault, in my opinion. But yeah.
No, I'm going to agree with him. Let me tell you why I agree first, because that might change your perspective.
All right.
Because you don't have as many instant casts, like you can't throw a hot on them and then they get out of your range, right?
Yes, I
You
agree.
have to finish your holy light,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I know.
That my screen keeps going blank. How annoying. That is where this comes from, and it's actually a big problem. It's
I
actually he's right on it. He doesn't really no instant
I
heals, so it's out
I
of range.
I get that all his points are synergizing, right? He's like, yo, Flash of Light sucks a dick, so I have to use Holy Light, but Holy Light's a 2.5 second cast,
and they
he's
walk
gonna
out of
run the
range.
fuck
They
out of my
charge at
range.
the end of
Yeah.
it. They charge or intercept out of the range, and they have to. You can't say like,
Yeah.
okay, warrior, don't move. I mean, that would be nice if they could see your heal bar. They should be able to kind of figure that out. But sometimes they just got to move. They got to close in. They got to interrupt
Yeah.
something.
Which
They
which
got
which
to close.
forces us to need to press further forward, which means that now we're highly susceptible to being
Yeah, you
counterspelled.
don't get the holy light off, and now either, I mean, the warrior's probably dead, but even if they don't die, you have to run in closer. So yeah, he's right.
Yeah, he's right.
I mean, of course, the one big fight where you have your bubble and run in, that's not true.
Yeah.
But as you get better and better at the
Mhm.
game, or like as the skill cap gets higher and as players have gotten better since 2004,
Yeah.
it's not like we had our big fight in 5 minutes. All right, everyone just kind of dick around for 5 minutes and then we'll have a big fight. No, if you're like in real pre-made, you're like literally dying so you can get back out there faster. And there's like
Yeah.
8 big fights within a 5-minute thing. So
And more like
yeah, I
three.
totally agree with
I
him.
would say you have your bubble available every third fight. Like two major fights go down for every time you have your bubble. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Every
high-end
three
pre-made.
every three big fights you have a bubble. That means 2
I
fights
don't
you
know.
didn't have a bubble.
I feel like you never have your bubble,
Yeah.
except for maybe one fight per BG. Almost, it feels bad.
Well, it's always I find it annoying when they're always bitching at you, like, dude, I'm getting CC'd out the ass in the rear. Somebody help. Usually, my experience last time was a rogue. There were like 5 rogues in one battleground, and the healers were just getting absolutely fucking shit on.
You're cutting out way too much. Sorry.
All right, whatever.
For me.
Well, yeah.
I know, not for them.
I'm saying my last experience with this was rogues getting in the back line and completely CCing the healers out the ass. We're talking like maybe 4 rogues. I over exaggerated and I said 5 rogues, but like 4 rogues jammed down the healer's
Why would there be
throat.
4 rogues in a pre-made though? I mean,
Yeah, no,
even that's an exaggeration.
It wasn't a pre-made. It was just that I think we ran into a random pug where they just had a lot of rogues, and the rogues were just jumping all over the healers. And
So
what I'm saying is that nobody would come back and help us. It wasn't like people would be like, oh shit, I need to get that rogue off our healer or he can't heal. And the point I'm trying to make is they were complaining that I wasn't bubbling myself so I could heal. And I'm like, it's on a 5-minute cooldown, you fucking clowns. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, and the priests don't have bubble, so they can't do shit.
I'm trying to keep the context because we have to narrow the context to even begin to have a discussion.
All right, so
and I'm trying to keep the context under the not to push it forward, but to say that he's talking about
massive.
I'm assuming he's talking about high-end play.
No instant heals. Yeah, we're talking high-end play. I'm just telling you.
So
so you're
you had an experience.
So you're telling me at high-end play they don't bitch at you that you didn't use bubble as a paladin?
No, well they do.
Oh, interesting. What a coinkydink. So it never goes away. Fantastic. So he's saying that warriors, your target's out of range because you have to use these big ass fucking holy lights.
Heals 2.5 seconds. That's a long ass time. They're gonna intercept, walk out of range.
That's kind of why you have to heal them. You have to start charging the holy light even before they've decided to go in. That's what I've noticed. And
like way before.
Yeah. And what's nice about after they go in, though, is they're usually slowed and CC'd out the ass so that they're not moving anymore. You know what I mean?
So you can, Well, and actually another problem, just to bring on that comment, is like another thing people complain about more is they're like, oh, why didn't you put Blessing of Freedom on me? And it's like, well,
God, don't get me
if
started,
I had to
bro.
put... No, that's the biggest one, actually, because this is the one you get bitched at the most. It's like, okay, but I had to put Sacrifice on you. Otherwise, I would have just been a sheep the whole time.
Yeah,
so I put Sacrifice on you, and I didn't want to put Freedom yet, because when I put Freedom on, if it gets dispelled, or if I have to immediately put Sacrifice back on you because I'm about to get sheep, I'm gonna stay a sheep the whole time, or you're gonna, it's gonna be 20 seconds before you can get my next Freedom.
Well, so there's literally a laundry list of why that's bad. Like, Freedom is something you do right before you think the warrior's going in. So my process is always, I put Freedom on the warrior. I don't give a fuck about anything else. And then I immediately start charging a holy light. This is before he's even charged in. You know what I mean? Because my freedoms are, there's only 4 seconds between freedoms, and odds are it's not going to last that long anyways. So it's like I just preemptively do that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but then you let a whole holy life go through, and no one even target them, and you waste a lot of mana.
No, you can
Just saying.
If it's about to go through, you jump. What are you, retarded?
Yeah, but yeah, you can do that, but it's like
it's better than
you
the
don't always know.
alternative of like it. It's better than
Okay,
the
but I
alternative
mean,
of
you
waiting
gotta
until
pick
he
who they're
takes
targeting
damage,
and
waiting
stuff.
until he goes in, and then you have
All right.
problems. It's like, come on, bro.
Okay, they're right. Just waiting is the worst idea.
Yeah.
So you're right.
So you might as well do something
So that-
preemptively. I'm not saying it solves
Is-
all the problems. I'm just saying that it's definitely works some of the time. It solves the problem
Yeah.
some of the time. Anyways,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So, but in general, right? He's right. I mean, it is
Yeah.
hard to follow with low hills.
fr-
So let's go to buffs. Unless you have something else.
Freedom's also just gonna, it's just gonna be dispel. That's why cleanse is better. But I'll
People don't understand freedom's still a 20-second cooldown. 20-second cooldown is not 5 seconds. It's not, it's not recast instantly.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
A lot of people have a problem with
what
that.
I find hilarious is you put freedom on the guy, he charges in, it immediately gets purged, right? And then you're bitching,
Yeah.
he starts bitching that you never put freedom on him because he didn't notice it. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're fighting the Horde. They have purges out their wazoo.
Yeah, which is, one of the other reasons Paladins have problems.
And the other funny thing is it's actually a good thing that he can't move. Because if he could move, he would just get out of range of your heals. So it's like...
sadly, that's true sometimes. I mean, that's not like a good thing for Paladins, but it is a point to be made. Like, I'm like, oh, thank God he's Ice Nova.
I wouldn't...
Just sit there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Horde tactic that involves do not purge freedom or FAP off the warrior so that he literally
let him go
fucks
deep and
himself.
die.
Yeah, let him fuck himself. Don't help him out.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
God.
I mean, it's not making I'm going to say some redeeming things about Holy Paladins later.
When
I'm kind of agreeing
with
with this
say
guy's
good
point.
things. When we get down to the bottom, we'll say good things.
All right, let's keep going.
All right, so buffs have long CDs, can easily be dispelled, and are basically weaker versions of alchemy potions. Free action potion makes you immune to stun, which is true, can also be dispelled though, and can use physical abilities under lip. Can also be dispelled though. I kind of disagree here because I both agree, but I disagree because the simple fact of the matter is, especially from the warrior's perspective, at the high-end pre-mades, you're probably not using FAP or lip. I can see an argument for lip. I can't really see an argument for
Why
FAP.
not? You'd be using it constantly. If you had a pre-made versus pre-made and it was like, oh, these mother effers, it would be every cooldown. It would be instantly.
Right, but it's like, is FAP going to keep you alive? If you living is top priority, is it going to keep you alive?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, yes.
How is it not going to be purged almost instantly? They're going to have like a raid warning that said warrior fapped. And
you're saying that they would drink a health pot because they're going to basically.
That's what I'm saying ask for a bop to remove this fucking this mortal strike and then just use a health potion. I think that's the superior play.
Well, actually, this is kind of interesting because I actually think like you a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of high-end players are like masturbating over free action potions.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, they're really good, but there is a time and a place to have health pot over free action. And ironically, that concedes very well with fighting elemental shamans.
Yes.
Like if they got a lot of Ellie shamans, you're going to get purged anyways. Yeah. And your main thing is that burst. So health pot is really useful. Yeah. And then a lot of high-end players are like, I'm so pro, I don't even carry a health pot. I'm like, that's kind of cringe.
I just think the combination of calling for a bop to remove the mortal strike and then using a major health potion is vastly superior to any other type of alchemy that you could possibly use under those circumstances. Maybe you could argue for a lip. Does lip remove mortal strike?
So it did on P servers. It does not in classic.
Okay, so in that case, I'm sticking to my guns here. Call for blessing
Bob,
protection.
Use health. I would agree with that. That needs to be a strat that's utilized more. Like people using Bop to remove Mortal Strike and health potting, and not seeing FAP and Lip as the end all be all. Just sometimes
I
more
agree.
HP is better, and it's. I mean, especially just like how the meta would be. It's so bursty. It's like I just need to survive. I
Yeah.
need an instant health pot.
If you live, the horde dies. That is what
I wouldn't
happens.
say that, but you have a better chance
Oh no, you're
because they win all ins usually
yeah.
with Ellie Shaman.
What happens if he pops? Do you win?
Yeah.
Is there a sometimes scenario we win if our Mortal Strike warrior just instantly explodes?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right.
I think you're right, but you're right. Actually,
Okay.
I'm not gonna. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll just concede.
Right. Okay.
People should use health pots more, and when they're teamed up with Paladins.
It's not just the use of the health potion. It's the call for the removal of the yeah. You get the point.
But that's unusual, and people don't think about that. So
No, they're stupid and they don't respect Paladins. So
it's
move
all right.
on.
But
Okay, so buffs have a long CD, can easily be dispelled. Yeah, which is why.
and we were just talking about freedom. You know, it's like
yeah, I agree.
it's not 5 seconds, it's 20, and that can feel like that's the end of the whole fight.
And the argument is freedom gets easily dispelled, blessing of protection gets easily dispelled. Sacrifice is all right, but the problem is that sacrifice is coming at the expense of a flash of light, or
Freedom,
or a holy light, or something else.
Well, the problem with sacrifice is that like you gotta preempt. Like, okay, is he about to need you put sacrifice? Okay, you put freedom on a target, and then then the mage is like, okay, now I'm just gonna sheep you because now you have to. We're hitting this guy, and now we're just gonna sheep you. So you sack the guy, and then you remove your own freedom, and then. And it's like you never even casted it.
And you can try to argue that, you just Skull of Impending Doom. And I'm like, but that's on a long cooldown. You can't really use that very much. It's like a 5-minute cooldown.
That's pretty, and then it's a lot of stats con.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like this counter one-time use things that really aren't that good in sustained PvP. Especially when you're it's like, okay, these one-time use items just get worse and worse and worse when you start getting better and better gear because the item slot they're giving up is like better and better. Like,
so I have a question.
So
I'm actually not a fan of putting sacrifice on the warrior. Who do I put it on instead, in your opinion?
Well, one of the sneaky things I do is before I go in a fight, I put it on every single pet.
Oh.
Because they're not really looking at that, and they're going to randomly AoE them. I've noticed that helps. I just start throwing it out on pets. Yeah, because the warriors, you're gonna have to put freedom on them. That pivotal, even if it gets dispelled, a pivotal 1.5 second freedom can be a big deal. So it's not that good. But then if the enemy players are really watching, it's like you put it on a warlock, like, okay, I'm gonna attack the other caster. I'm not gonna attack that one. And you're gonna stay sheep. You know.
You mean sacrifice?
So I like to just kind of. Yeah, sacrifice.
Okay.
Well, like, who do you put sacrifice on? Because if you put on the warrior, which is the guy they're definitely going to attack, then you can't freedom them at the right moment.
I just put it on something random and hope it's going to get AoE'd. That's kind of
and that's okay. But I think the sneaky strat you should really start developing is like throwing it out on pets because they're not going to be watching pets.
What if you're a complete asshole and you like put it on the priest? Who he's using Skull of Impending Doom. Would that work?
He's using what? You cut out, sorry.
He's using Skull of Impending Doom. So the priest is using Skull of Impending Doom. He knows to put sacrifice on him. So he will activate Skull of Impending Doom to get you out of sheep.
Yeah, I mean, it works like one time and it looks cool.
We're talking high-end pre-made. I'm just saying, well, it doesn't work like one time because it's like, well, one fight I use my Skull of Impending Doom, and the other fight he uses his, and the other fight after that, the other priest uses his, and we just kind of rotate.
Yeah, sure. I mean, okay, sure, but like I said, like the stats and you're giving up, you're losing more and more each time.
It's better than being a fucking sheep, if that's really our concern here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, but any class can start working around one-time uses, so that's just like an individual player skill thing.
I agree. Well, my point is, I would put the sacrifice. Okay, so I'm definitely freedoming the warrior before he goes in because I'm not dealing with any of that
you just
shit.
put it on fell hunters and shit. Nobody.
How many sacrifices?
Nobody
Yeah.
actually targets.
Okay. I can only have one sacrifice out at a time, right?
Nope.
That's what I was
You can
wondering.
have a multiple
I
target.
think I can have multiple out. Can't I?
Yep. You have
Yeah.
multiple,
So
so throw it on
so
all the pets.
right. So I'll throw it on just about everything that's going into melee, aka the pets,
Mhm.
and I'll put one on
And
the.
that can be hard to do just because you're usually running up to like the blacksmith flag or whatever point
Let
you're going at. So it's like you
let
can't be casting sacrifice when you're mounted. But
let me finish. Well, the best thing to cast on yourself
okay.
while you're mounted is a fucking freedom. Like you cast freedom and then you mount up and then you roll out with that, and it's like hilarious. But moving on.
Real quick on that note,
Yeah.
the best thing, the most hilarious thing is when I'm fighting a caster
Yeah.
and they're winning. Okay,
Okay.
fine, whatever, they're
Standard.
winning, and I'm
Normal.
forced to bubble.
Yeah.
But since they don't go into melee, right?
Yeah. You can just
If they keep
you
casting
get
at
out of
you can get
combat.
back on your mount.
Oh God.
You can get out of combat and get back on your mount. But what you do is when you're still in your divine shield,
Yeah.
you cast freedom on yourself. So
Yeah.
as
And they
soon
don't
as
notice.
and then you
You start
well
running
no
at them.
even if they notice even if they notice you can mount up in bubble, and then they try to freeze you in place, but you have a freedom preemptively on you, and you just run away. I have been surrounded by like three
The
mages, and I'm just running away at full speed with freedom on. They're like, "Oh shit, we all thought we 100% had him
Yeah, I've
because you
been
can
there.
preemptive freedom." It's pretty cool,
I've gotten
but
away from druids that won't leave me alone that way. I'm like, I'm fucking out of
druids, it
here.
works well against druids. Anyone that can't dispel,
Yeah.
it works like mage, especially druids actually,
They're like,
because the
no,
mage
wait,
can
come
kind of
back. You're
keep
like,
up with
later,
blinking.
bitch. Woo.
Yeah. So
Question:
you can,
have they
anyways,
ever
freedom
noticed
while
you
you're
put
still in
freedom on it?
bubble.
While you're in a bubble, have they ever noticed you do freedom? I've
No,
never seen them notice.
I've gotten away so many times
Not
against
one
caster,
time.
like a group
Yeah.
of casters. One time, like a priest dispelled it. He saw it and he dispelled it, and I died. But I had pretty good chances of running away doing that. It's kind of funny.
No, it is
So
funny.
made some really comical scenarios where people are all like around me, like raffling and shit, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
don't notice what I'm doing. All right. Anyways,
All
let's
right.
keep going.
My favorite one is I start casting like a Hearthstone, like I'll you know those moments where you don't even wait for your health to get low, you just get jumped by like 10 horde, and you're like, oh shit, and you instantly bubble, and then I instantly start
Yep.
Hearthstoning, and they start laughing at you, but then I'll go into freedom and go into mount, and what that ends up doing is it's like yeah,
It
so
throws them off.
right, it doesn't throw all of them off, but it'll throw like half of them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least I got
I've
better
not done
odds
that.
of
I'm gonna
running
try that.
away. Yeah, they start laughing and they're
Your
like,
health is still
whatever.
high.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah,
surrounded. They think you're just gonna bubble hard. I'm gonna try that. That's
yeah.
interesting.
It's funny,
Just kind of relax there. Like, okay, they've given up on you and they stopped paying attention.
right? Because
That's interesting.
who expects you to cancel your hearth if you have a hearth, right?
Yeah.
It's like nobody expects that. It's like, nah, I'm gonna clown on you bitches. I'm
6
just gonna
seconds
ride
in,
away.
they're gonna start zoning out and start looking around and not looking at you anymore. Then
Yeah,
switch them out and preemptive freedom and then run off. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyways, that's like
Anyway,
really sidetracked, but I like that.
all right. So my point is that yeah, but we were talking about the uses of freedom and stuff. Okay, so buffs have a long CD. Yeah, you're right. At the high end pre-mades, I'm a big fan of moving that mortal strike.
And it does hurt quite a bit when you don't have a lot of
but it would be
a lot of builds
yeah.
don't talk like a lot of these 30-0 builds, like the zero prop builds, they don't really, I mean, I'm not saying these builds are bad, they're fine, but it is something you need to remember is you might not have improved freedom, you might not have 3-minute bop, and it does matter.
It's a big deal.
So,
At the lower ends, the freedom length increase is a big deal, but at the higher ends, the 3-minute bop becomes the bigger deal.
Yes, that's that. Okay, so high end play is bopping people to remove mortal strike at key pivotal moments, and that's when you need a 3-minute bop. Not really like the low end bop play is I put it on a mage and you round around and start AoEing people. But if you're fighting good players, they're just going to remove that and blow the mage up. That's not a thing. And freedom at low end play is super good because they get like a full 16-second freedom when they're running around. But at high end play, your freedoms never lasts more than 2 seconds. But the bop, you're right, bop becomes more important at high end to have that critical mortal strike removal.
Yep.
So
what's also funny about the Blessing of Protection is it often goes unnoticed on the warrior for a rather long period of time. It often goes
Yeah,
unnoticed
I've
for like
seen that.
three,
You're
4
like, pop, pop,
seconds.
pop, pop, pop. Because
And
they're usually surrounded by crap. You can't even
yeah,
see what's going
yeah.
on.
There's so much particle effects going on that they can't really tell that that's what's happened. And then when they finally do tell that that's what's happened, they kind of have to either finish their spell cast or they have to immediately cancel and then try to purge it off. And even if it's only on for a second, it's a really big deal when you start factoring in just how much damage, just how much effective healing it
Yeah,
generates.
I've seen a bop into a holy shock into a health pot. The guy health potted himself, and then someone else healed him. But my
Oh
GCD
yeah, oh yeah.
or my,
And it just
and then it's like,
completely changes the situation from they totally have this kill to a holy fuck, we can't kill
but
this
he
guy
he
now.
was in execute range, and like 3 executes drop, and it's like
Yeah.
a big like a big turnaround, like bunch of wasted rage and shit, and it's great.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, so
All right, moving on. Next one. Bubble is massively overrated. You can heal
yep,
unhindered, but your heals are so bad that your teammate is still going to die in many cases. Damage and healing reduction effects in Classic are way stronger than healing, especially that of Paladins. Bubble
okay.
is, when you have Bubble, it's actually the world. The trick is trying to figure out how to do things without Bubble. That's my opinion. Bubble is the
Well,
world.
and actually, no, it's not the world too.
Mm.
Actually, I think I would argue the different point of view, which is, yeah, you're not gonna die, and you're gonna have uninterrupted healing. But if you have, when everyone's insanely bursty,
Yeah.
uh, it's like you're going to holy light someone, and they just drop
No, I agree.
before you can even line it. So
It, it's
he,
it's
it's
it's especially a problem. Okay, I would agree if the circumstance is as
it.
follows. Okay, bear with me.
Okay,
I agree 100% if the circumstance is as follows. Your bitch ass is trying to cast this long ass holy light. You're 2 seconds into this fucking holy light. You get CC'd. You have to bubble. The bubble costs you a GCD. You're going into another fucking holy light. That's like five
yeah.
seconds.
So how you use
You weren't
bubble
healing for like
is you
five
use it
seconds. Yeah.
way before you look at your surroundings and be like, okay, there's a mage over there and a warlock. I'm bubbling before the fight even starts, and you run in deep. You run
That's
in
one
deep
way to
on
do
your
it. Yeah,
mount.
that's one way to do it.
Actually, I would do this. I would literally. This is what you would. The smartest thing to do is to run in super deep on your mount, dismount in the enemy lines, bubble, and start healing from the enemy lines. Max rank holy light. Don't bother with this on the edge of the map healing with holy light where your warriors run out of range. If you're in a real pre-made and you know it's a balls deep fight, it's
Yeah.
literally run straight into their whole line, jump off your mount, bubble mid-air, sapper, and then start holy lighting your warriors from the enemy line.
I can see that.
That's because you're
That's
not
one
going to
way
get
to
out
do
of
it.
range, and you're so fucked. If you start healing from like max range and someone like, I don't know, scatter shots you, like some hunter runs up and like not even they don't even have to counterspell you. Like they'll probably counterspell you, but let's say they don't even
Yeah.
counterspell you, so you can still
Or
bubble,
their
right?
fucking pet runs over and just stuns you for a second,
Grenade,
and you're like, a grenade? Yeah, that happens a lot.
a
Fantastic.
grenade. Then yeah, you're stuck where you have to bubble GCD and then start another one. You're
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
literally
yeah, yeah.
7 seconds out and everybody's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I can totally see an argument for opening up
Yeah,
the
I
bubble.
agree with that. Um, like to use bubble correctly is to preemptively know the scenario
Yeah, there's
before.
actually multiple correct bubble usages, and I'll let you finish your thoughts on it, and I'll go into what I think is other correct bubble
Okay.
usages. I gotta pause the video real fast though. I gotta go do something. Yeah, back to the thing. All right, we are back. Okay, so we were talking about bubble and why bubble actually like we he says bubble sucks. We kind of agree. We were talking about proper uses of bubble. We mentioned that uh, starting your heal and then getting CC'd and then having to bubble and then having to restart your heal is bad. Pick a better use of bubble. Sometimes it happens, but pick a better use of bubble. So the scenario that I like using bubble in, I never thought about just charging in with bubble. But the scenario I like holding bubble for is again, I do not see myself as being the primary healer. This might be a Holy Reckoning mentality, but I don't see myself as a primary healer. I see myself as an anti-CC and like
Anti what? You cut out. Sorry.
an anti-CC bot. Like basically, I'm a cleanse bot 9000 who kind of has. I'm a cleanse bot that can't be CC'd myself. So what'll happen is I'm not trying to heal the warrior as he's going in. I'm trying to cleanse the world. And if I'm particularly interested in watching my priests, if a priest gets sheeped, I'm prioritizing cleansing the priest because the priest has the instant heals. You know what I mean? I don't have the instant heals as Holy Reckoning. The priest has the instant heals, and he has better instant heals than I do, and he has better, faster heals. He's a better healer than I am. He just doesn't have bubble. That's basically how I look at it, right? So what I end up doing is I'm not healing myself, or I'm not healing anything, so I can't be counterspelled. They need to do something about the priests. They want to counterspell me, but so they're like, okay, we're going to sheep the priests. And then boom, I dispel the priests. And I'm like, well, fuck, now we have to counterspell the priests. So the priests get counterspelled. And that's kind of my cue to bubble and start healing so that I can make sure to get the heals off. That's also my cue to possibly start using the Blessing of Protection trick to try to get them through it. But at the same time, it's like the other thing is if I catch any kind of hard CC, like they don't try to sheep the priest.
Can you move closer to your mic again? I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah. Sorry. Am I cutting
You
out
live
a lot?
very far away from me, and there's internet issues.
Okay,
But I was getting what you were saying.
I hadn't put my mic super close to my mouth since I came back. Anyways, I hold the bubble to make it very clear to the opposing team that you cannot CC me. And I'm not giving them the opportunity to counterspell me. And I'm just trying to keep the priests in the fight and in the heals. And so then they're forced to try to use counterspell on the priests. And if that happens, then I go into that emergency healing mode, which that'll typically cost me my bubble because I want to make sure I get the heals out. But typically I'm doing that Blessing of Protection emergency heal that I've been talking about. But I just don't.
By the way,
I don't put myself in a situation where I can get counterspelled, is what I'm saying.
That's part of the reason why this goes for rets, like ret hybrids.
Oh yeah, totally. That's why. Yeah, I say rets are amazing. Take them.
Well, here's the thing about ret hybrids that and what you're talking about.
Define a ret hybrid healing. Fast. Define a ret hybrid.
Like a 20-0-31 with Avengers gear.
So
he has crit gear on.
So you're talking, okay, so he's a hybrid in the sense of his gearing, so he still has repent. So repent.
Or he could be a little one way more the other or something. He's just a hybrid of some sort.
Okay, make your point.
But the point is, you only have enough mana to really go for ham for like 12 seconds anyways.
Yes.
And then you combine that with bubble, combine that with like Zandalar Hero Charm or Blinding Light. Because in those 12 seconds, you're as good as any other healer because you have some sort of power up. So you have a power up matched up with a bubble.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other classes, they power up. It's like, okay, well, now is definitely the time to stop you. If that makes sense.
Well, okay. So I look at it two ways. One, your Blessing of Protection is always amazing, right? We already talked about this. Secondly, as long as you're not healing and can't be counterspelled, and especially if you have bubble on cooldown, you are an anti-CC'er that they cannot do anything about, that the Horde can't do anything about. The only CC that they can throw at your healers that you can't stop is counterspell. I can't think of anything else, right? So the only thing they can do to stop the healers is counterspell. Sheeps won't really work. Stuns don't even really work. Saps don't really work, especially if they're fapping over there. God help you, right? So it's like that's how I look at the situation. Your value as a paladin is in your anti-CC toolkit, the same way that Purge is so valuable for the Horde. It's your cleanse is so valuable to the Alliance.
And let me say this. The best way probably to play Ret, and if you were to play Ret in a deep pre-made, would be to go in deep, bubble really early, power up with Blinding Light or ZHC and use pretty much all your mana to cleanse and heal to force the enemy players to drain out their counter spells.
Agreed.
But they're going to stay alive because you're healing, like you're doing maximum support at that point. Then your bubble drops, your mana bar is gone.
Yeah.
At this point, you're like a low rank command.
A rank 1 auto attacking cleanser. That's what you are.
Yeah, basically. But you just drained out the enemy's counter spells.
Oh yeah.
And your healing didn't suck that bad.
Correct.
Because all your weaknesses kind of go away when you're in bubble because you can go in deep.
Yes.
You can land, holy lights that are impossible to land normally.
Okay, so when I think about a Ret hybrid, what I'm thinking about is 2 priests, a holy paladin, and this fucking Ret hybrid. Like, the more paladins you have, especially with the priests around, things become exponentially more difficult for the Horde team to deal with. Right? Because now they need to counterspell both the priests, so that's their counterspells gone. They almost always have only 2 mages, right? But then these 2 fucking but then these 2 they can't CC these 2 fucking paladins. The paladins are going to get some heals off. You know what I mean? Especially if they're juggling their bubbles. God help you if they're coordinating and juggling their bubbles. It's like, okay, you bubble this time, I'll bubble next time, kind of a scenario.
But actually, this brings up, we're supposed to be talking about holy, but this does bring up a really big weakness of Ret. Is Rets, if you wanted to play like a 31 Ret, your comp positioning is like really delicate because there's never going to be a spot for really 2 Rets, at least in any pre-made, and
even though
when you're playing a class that's so delicate,
Rets would be amazing, wouldn't they?
I think no.
You don't think so?
Maybe 2. I don't think so. I think it's the bubble emergency heal big fight.
What I'm asking is, what if you take Rets instead of holy paladins? So you got 2 Ret paladins, no holy paladin, 2 priests.
Maybe I've just never seen it because it's when are you going to find 2 good Ret players?
Well, your Repent alone is terrifying. Having 2 Repents is fucking terrifying. 2 Repents and 2 stuns on the front line, fuck that shit.
I wouldn't say terrifying, but it's good, yeah.
No, it's because again, if we're talking about a meta where things are really bursty, right?
It's good.
Yeah, I can see the Repents being way more valuable. What if you repent a mage? What the fuck's he going to do about it? That's a counterspell
Ice
off
block?
the table. Okay, Ice block. That's an 8-minute
Ice block
cooldown.
off the table. Yeah, I know, but he has options at least.
So we spent a 1-minute cooldown to get an 8-minute cooldown out of his bitch ass. Okay, it works for this fight, and this fight we have bubble. What about the next fight? Oh, you have Repents again. 2 more Repents.
He
doesn't have it anymore.
I'll stop.
Yeah, you get the point. At some point in time, you're gonna be causing more problems.
No, it's good. It's good. Like I said, if Holy had
maybe
Repentance
Mage is
at
a
the end of,
bad example. What about the Shaman? What's he going to do about it?
No, but I'm just saying if Repentance was at the end of the Holy Tree, it'd be a much different class. That's all. That's an easy way to say it. Like you would actually consider going 31 Ret even as a pure healer, because Repentance is so good for healing compared to the last 10 points in Holy.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. If that's what you're saying. That's what I was trying to say.
So. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but it's like but now you have to go 31 Ret.
If we do your Trinket emergency healing strategy, and we're having 2 like both of them are doing that, we have 2 Repentances on top of 2 stuns, that's kind of fucking terrifying.
Still low damage, though. I mean, honestly, like... Yeah, you have them locked down.
But
if you're locking a target down, but you're not doing enough damage, then the lockdown is worth not as much.
No, because the Horde. If you look at Horde's mana costs and the way the Horde work, they're extremely bursty, but they have very bad sustain. So in my brain, it's like if we can just nullify their burst and survive through it, we're gonna cut these fuckers down eventually.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. At this point, we're getting into, maybe someone more. This is starting to get into very uncharted territory. So I feel like because I've never really seen 2 good rets, for example.
No, I
So
agree.
maybe it would work, but maybe it's just something I've never even okay, I've seen 2 rets before, but have
Well,
I seen
it gets even dumber.
well
What if you had 10 good
geared,
rets?
intelligent rets? I don't. I think that I'm just gonna assume there would be problems. I don't know.
I
I
like
think
to think there'd
the
be
shaman heavy
problems.
comp.
Yeah, I think. Maybe Tremor
I think a
Totem gets them
shaman.
out of Repent or something. There's a totem that does it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So
That's why I wanted to say mages,
um,
because the mages are almost always so far on the flanks that they're away from the Tremor Totem. I couldn't
no, I
remember
mean
why I
repent.
wanted to
Like I
say
said, if
mages.
repent was the 31 talent, and holy would go from
Oh yeah.
meh moderate to really strong. That would make a big
Which
difference.
makes me wonder
Well,
the
it wasn't really
question:
strong.
why
It
can't
would
you
help
be
a lot
31 ret and wear the healing gear and call it good?
because now you don't have improved bop and improved freedom,
You can still pick up
and
improved bop. What are you talking? Oh no, because you have to get
so you're gonna start losing
the
pretty
combat
serious
healing.
healing
Yeah,
talent.
yeah. Okay, you're
No,
right.
you
You're
could
right.
still have combat healing, but you wouldn't have like the plus healing. You're starting to lose too much healing at that point.
All right.
So you're making sacrifices to pick it
Right,
that
but
way. I'm not saying you
at the
shouldn't.
high end, it becomes less about how much you can heal and more about how much you can CC, especially in a
Can
burst
you
event.
heal? Yeah, at the high end, it's a little less about how much your heals go for. And it's not PVE where you just like spamming heals off. It's more about can
No,
you get them
I don't
through.
know. It might work. It
I
might not
agree.
work. Hard to say.
I
All right.
I actually think it might be. Well, we're gonna have to see.
You
I
would need a
wonder if that will
coordinated
become
team, and
meta.
you would need 2 geared good ret paladins. Like that would be,
Yeah, and we've
which is
never seen that
difficult.
in the history
Yeah,
of World of
we've never
Warcraft.
seen
So
that.
this is something that should be explored. Like healers
Mm.
that are all healing gear, but going 31 in red, pretty much solely, and they'd get eye for an eye, which I think would help
Hmm.
in big bursty PvP a little. But that so these 31 red healers basically
Yeah.
see what happens. I'm very curious, but I was gonna say that basically. In my opinion, since it's more of an emergency healing cleanse bot class, regardless of spec, I think in a perfect pre-made, you should go pretty light-footed on paladins. The problems you're going to run into is there's a lot of paladin players that are pigeonholed into holy, and if you're trying to make a pre-made, you probably are going to, because you have a bigger pool of players to pick from, you're going to have higher skill. Like it's going to be hard to pick up 3 dedicated, really good priest players because they're not all going to want to join your pre-made, right? Like if you're in a AB, for
Okay.
example,
Well, I was gonna
like
say 3 priests. I was thinking, yeah.
you wouldn't even want 3 priests in
Well,
Warsong. But I'm just saying,
AB is a completely different ball game. Wouldn't is a paladin better than a priest in AB or no?
I actually think, um,
It's a good question.
well,
Because AB,
for the
yeah.
top tier pre-made with like Nax gear, I think priest is better.
Well,
I
AB
think priest
AB
is
is a
better.
weird combination of there's usually like a central 10-man fight, but then there's usually like 3-man fights going on the sidelines, and my money's on the paladin in the 3-minute fights. Or my bad, it's not 3-minute, 3-man.
Some of this depends on how good redemption gear is. Like we don't know how if in classic the cleanse effect that heals is it going to scale with plus healing. So it's getting to pretty speculative on that. Well, so why don't we pick we'll pick phase 4 since we're actually in phase 4. Uh,
I don't AB enough to know. I just know that.
shit. In general, I think if you're playing at the highest tier, you want more priests than
I
paladins.
think all the
The only
healers are
reason
centralized.
you might pick up more paladins than priests just because you're going to have an easier time
Well, yeah,
with the selection pool.
yeah, that's something I bring up in my ranking guide for Paladin is that it's not about stomping the premates, it's about stomping the pugs. And Paladins are amazing at stomping the pugs. They're extraordinarily oppressive. So,
So that's something I was going to talk about at the end of this because
yeah.
we're talking about all the this guy's because I feel like what he's talking about is like in ideal situations, and
Yeah.
I want to get into unideal
Or
situations.
more like
Where,
normal situations. All
yeah.
right, moving on.
Okay.
All right,
So
Bubble is a massively overrated tool. We talked about this. Stronger than healing, especially that of worst. last one. Worst itemization. No good healing plate until next. Good luck out healing 4K Shadow Bolts with your pathetic 1.3K Flash of Light. I disagree.
Yeah, partially because
If you're getting attacked by somebody, you're kind of happy. This is a good thing.
no, he's not talking about self healing yourself. He's talking about like
Well,
your
my
warrior.
objection is no good plate gear, and I'm like, plate is only for if you're getting attacked. But am I not happy if I'm getting attacked? Question mark.
No, he's not talking about this. He's talking about your target. Like you're you're trying to heal somebody from the sideline with flash of light, and that same somebody's being nuked by shadow bolts.
It's
With
it
their
says
power.
worst itemization, no good healing plate until next.
Yeah, but he's not talking about the person attacking him.
Then why bring up
I
plate?
think because the tier sets, there's no sets really specifically made for just healing in PvP, which I kind of disagree with, by the way, because I would say that tier 1 and tier 2 are very good until spell pen comes out. But
Well, even just being around with like a shield and wearing your raid healing stuff with like a shield, you're at 50% armor. So I don't understand this
yeah,
statement. I agree. You don't
yeah,
have
and
stats though. You only got like 3,000 hit points. That's the major issue.
well, yeah, it's just dead in one. Well,
3,500 hit points, which is why tier 1 is kind of
you
sexy.
can mix. I think he might not be factoring in the fact that you might not have like a perfect healing set like some other classes early on until you have redemption for PvP. But there's this thing where like you can like get away with like a leather bracer and like
Oh yeah, totally.
chainmail something like. So once again, this gets into the thing I was going to start complimenting the Holy Paladin on, which is normal situations, because it's
Well,
like he's
okay.
describing the highest end fighting, like where everyone's fapping and lipping, and they have the best armor. It's like, why are you even in the battlegrounds to begin with if you already have everything the best? So,
Well, the one thing I really want to point out is it's like, God, I forgot my train of thought here. Give me a
well,
second.
you can, if you're not in an ideal situation, having the ability to wear some leather and mail to compensate some of the weaknesses in your gear
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of counters
I
this
see.
point. When he says worst itemization, it's like worst ideal itemization until tier 3, which
Yeah.
is kind of like an oxymoron in itself, because it's
Right.
like, well, but then we get an amazing suit at 3.
Yeah.
So, and that's like the time to have the amazing suit if you're talking about ideal situations.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So what I wanted to point out is I hear this all the time from like the high end pre-mades when I listen to like Cargos and the other guys talk about like PvP, like
okay.
and it is that paladins are amazing because they're really tanky healers, and I'm like, yeah, but our place in the meta is this weird emergency healing anti CC role where I only really need to be a good healer for about 5 fucking seconds. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 10 seconds at most. And it's kind of like nobody's attacking me. Who are these theoretical people who are attacking me? I don't understand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
That's why I bring up the rogue. The rogue's the only fucking thing I see decloaking off my starboard bow, but that's not at the high end pre-mates. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
like,
So
yeah.
we're starting to get in the compliment zone where we start talking about some of this. So okay, so I guess let's start getting in. I'm gonna
All
kind
right.
of set
All
the
right.
stage of
All right.
why he's kind of wrong in some ways.
Okay.
First of all, just the way that this is kind of pointing things out, it does kind of, in my opinion, feel like this guy has a lot of experience playing from a caster point of view, like a warlock, Ellie shaman, or mage,
What makes you think that off the top of
because
your
it's
head?
pretty damn easy to shut down a holy pally.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe he's playing a holy pally, he's playing a holy pally, and he's getting shut down by mages. But honestly, in battlegrounds, okay,
Yeah.
non pre-made battlegrounds, there's a shit ton of warriors because
The pre-mates only need one.
Well, no, they don't only need one. They need a lot of warriors too. But the thing is, there's a disbalance amount because the PvP gear is like not replaceable. Like I think actually 3-piece PvP rank 13 gear is best for almost everything in dueling to PvP forever. So like you can play a Ret Paladin, get Avengers, and get past the PvP gear. You can play like a lot of classes and get past the not having the PvP gear basically.
Anyways, we're talking about
Which I
warriors, lots of warriors.
well, lots of warriors. That kind of that would change your like skew a little bit. It should like you can get some heals past warriors. You
Well,
can.
my thought process
They don't hit you that hard.
yeah, my thought
Go ahead.
process in general is uh if you're really struggling getting CC'd as a paladin, it just tells me that you're not understanding where your place is in the meta. You're supposed
I
to
don't
be
know.
you're supposed to be cleansing, and then you're the emergency heal guy. You're not supposed to be like, I'm gonna charge up heals on the
Yeah,
warrior.
but
Oh fuck, I got grenaded. Okay, I trinket the
that's too
grenade. I
complicated
charge
even
up
for high end
now. I charge
premates.
up another fucking heal. Oh shit, I got scatter shot. Fuck this shit. My bubbles on. God damn it. You get the point, right? It's like you could have thrown out like 3
Yeah,
cleanses and like removed the priest out of it, a sheep. And yeah,
yeah.
if they got
You need to be
counterspelled,
cleansing.
then you're not getting counterspelled. And there's that scenario where it's like, well, shit, if they counterspelled the priests and they got no more counterspells, I'll just bob myself and heal. Can't be stunned while I'm
Okay, but
bopped.
this goes to another point. Okay, because
Yeah,
he says no good healing play until next. Good luck out healing 4K shadow bolts with your pathetic 1.3K flash of light though.
yeah.
But once again, like what about all this time before everyone's hitting each other like trucks? Which is going to be, we're going to hit each other harder, faster now that everyone's like min-maxed the game, right? But there is a long period of time in the game's lifespan where people aren't just blowing each other away instantly and they're having to rely on these dots and stuff. And once again, this comes back to your point, which is like being a cleanse bot is really important and
Agreed.
takes a bigger role in the battlefield. But if you think about Pug PvP, not pre-made PvP, but Pug PvP, a lot of puggers are there to get the like AB rewards or rank 10 and stuff. They really don't have that good a gear. They're not really blowing each other away.
Great. Agreed.
It's not like 3 seconds you're dead. So in that scenario, the cleanse has a lot more like presence because it's all about deleting overtime
Well,
effects.
the paladins and pugs have a lot more presence in general because a lot of these issues he's talking at the highest end go away. Oh, they dispel your buffs really fast. Not in fucking pugs, bro. Like totally not in
Yep.
pugs.
I'm gonna make
yeah.
a cheesy ass analogy, okay,
All right.
to help people, and it
Well,
should help. So if you know anything, go
time
ahead.
out. Let me make my point real fast because again, I made the
Okay.
video, but I'll just make it real quick. The reason why it's important to look at ranking in PvP as pug from a pug perspective is because that is your prey, right? Yeah, it might suck to have to lose to a pre-made at the high end, but the faster you lose that game, the better. Like you want to lose that game fast if you're going to lose.
That's a good
right?
point.
The name of the game
All
is
right.
stomping the pugs, and paladins are oppressive as shit at stomping pugs. It's not just about stomping pugs. It's about oppressing and demoralizing them to the point they don't want to fight you anymore. So you win super
Yeah,
fast.
the illumination actually comes into play and stuff when you're pug stomping.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, and those FOLs
Or
become a big deal.
or you
Your
have like
mana
a bad
efficiency becomes a
pre-made.
big deal.
Like if you have a bad pre-made and you're fighting like a pug, being I mean, if your pre-made is too powerful, then it doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're just gonna AFK no matter what. But yeah, there's like a point where
That's why I'm saying
you're
like
too
take
strong.
like 5 ret paladins if you can find them, stomp the shit out of pugs. If you run into a pre-made, just lose as quickly as possible. Why not?
Yeah, but I mean, anyone can kind of do that, anyways. But I think there's some little bit of truth to the fact that
Well,
paladins
you still need the ability
do
to
well
absolutely
against.
destroy and demoralize the pug, right? Like it's not about just
Yeah.
destroying the pug. So imagine you're destroying the pug, but they're still like killing half of you, right? That's going to
They're
motivate
getting
them to
kills.
fight more, right? Yeah, we're getting kills. Let's stay here longer, right? But if they can't kill anything or anybody because there's too many fucking bops and freedoms and bubbles and shit, then they're just going to be like, fuck this, I'm AFKing, let them win.
That's interesting. I actually didn't really think about that. I think there is a sweet spot where like I said, paladins are oppressive as fuck. Like, if you're in a pug and you're fighting paladins and you're the only player on your team that can actually kill someone and they just get bopped, you're like,
Yep.
okay, fuck this.
I've been on the horde side of it, and I've run into BGs where they've got like 4 paladins, and you can't kill anything. You might get 2 kills the entire BG, and that's your entire team. And it's like,
All right.
yeah, go for the oppression. So that's my argument in my video that I blather on for like 2 hours. Is it's like it's not about the high ends; it's about stomping pugs. Let's talk about paladins for the purposes, not just the pugs, but like the middle ground PvPers. Right? Because you want to stomp both the pugs and the middle ground. Because anybody can stomp a pug. Let's talk about stomping middle of the road. We're kind of a pre-made. We're kind of not a pre-made. We're a pug pre-made.
Yeah. Actually, this goes into my cheesy analogy.
Okay.
The English longbow, right?
All right.
That's going to be the holy priest. That takes years of training.
Okay.
But it's effective. Probably more effective than the French crossbow in the medieval ages.
Yes.
The French crossbow is the holy paladin. Anyone can basically do damage or be effective.
Yes.
So
and
it's like that. I mean,
and it's oppressive.
So
if you don't know how to counter the paladins, they're oppressive as fuck.
That's true. It's pretty. And there's something to be said that the skill cap has, and the knowledge out there has gotten better.
Yeah.
So that like the paladins are not as bad as they used to be. But back in 2005, I'm pretty sure people felt that paladins were the most fucking annoying thing on the planet, and they were literally cancer.
Even in retail, where our toolkit is almost identical to classic WoW.
I don't know anything about retail. Don't talk to me about retail. I don't know anything.
Well,
about
I haven't played retail
nothing.
since Legion, but I have kept up on my paladin for a long time, and it's all the same business. It's all I can deal with anything. I can't deal with a fucking counterspell. It hasn't changed since the dawn of time.
So this guy's argument, like, is true. Like, at the high end, I actually kind of basically agree if we say they're one of the worst healers when you get really, really high end.
You still need one. You can't just take 3 priests, because 3 priests will just be sheeped, and then that's the end of it. Oh, we sheep 2 of them, and we counterspell this guy, and okay, that was fun.
I honestly, no, they can dispel sheep, but it's
who's dispelling
not
sheep?
as bad as the priest.
If they're coordinating,
they can do it for 200.
If the horde are coordinating their CC, how are they getting a dispel through?
You're just saying take an extra dispeller. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the reason why you
have an extra dispeller.
You take the 2 priests and you take the 1 paladin is because that paladin every 5 minutes you can't stop him from cleansing the priests, which means
all right, yeah,
all the CC. And on top of that, he's got that fucking blessing of protection, which if you use it correctly...
I generally agree with the idea that having the variety is better than overstacking something, even if it's a little stronger in most scenarios.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the idea, like, yeah, just like have your collect. And also, it's just like when you're overstacking in one class, like, oh, no, we only take this class. And it's like, well... Would you rather have this mediocre priest player, or would you have the best holy paladin on the server? It's like, well,
there
okay.
is that, yeah. But
and then
what I'm saying is the toolkit is actually critical that you take at least 1 paladin at the high level. I'm not even giving you wiggle room on this. I'm literally like,
okay,
because that bubble means you can guarantee at least
the best emergency.
You can guarantee at least 1 fight where there's at least 1 healer active, and it shuts down all kinds of options to CC the other healers. Like it becomes,
I agree that. I mean, vaguely in general, I'll agree that overstacking a class can be bad.
Yeah. And then when your bubble is on cooldown and you still have that blessing of protection trick to use on the warrior, which is kind of a big deal. Like I'm saying that. If your bubble's on cooldown, please don't be the guy running around trying to cast the big heals when the enemy team is just going to CC the shit out of you. It's like do something at least useful, like cleanse and use your instant casts and Maybe pump fake the heals to try to get out a counter spell, but you get the point. Or you just go into
Yeah.
the whole there's a lot of little tricks you can do that we already talked about. The skulls of impending dooms, the blessings of sacrifices, the stuff. The point I'm trying to make is, if they can't CC the paladin is cleansing people, and therefore the only CC I am aware of that works is counterspell. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but the priests are really good at healing people instantly. Like, that's why you want the priests,
Yeah.
right? They're pretty goddamn good at healing people instantly, which means that there's nothing to counterspell, right? So it's like, well, I can't sheep the fucker because of the fucking paladin. I can't counterspell the paladin because the paladin's just cleansing people, and I can't counterspell the fucking priest because the priest is instant healing, and you see the dilemma you're putting them in. So then they have to do so much damage that it's forcing out the heals. Then they can actually use the counter spells. But at least it's not just sheep and grenades that are getting the job done. That's my theory on it, at least.
Okay. So, and this comes into a whole. I want to talk about putting the game in context so that you understand why Holy Paladin still will pretty much always have a place, even as the meta changes and player skill and knowledge has gone up, which would definitely weaken Holy Paladin's place in the hierarchy of power or whatever. The Holy Paladin makes a great alt too. And a lot of people like to play alts because you can basically play a healer with not like, going crazy with trying to, figure out efficiency. It's not as big as of an investment as some of the other classes to just get started in it. So like, even if you're kind of just dumbly running around hitting the same buttons over and over again, like if you're fighting other bad players, but you're in pug v pug fighting, that's still pretty damn effective. Like the floor is high for Holy Paladins, like in the sense that it's hard to be bad unless you're fighting a lot of other really good players, which you're usually not.
I agree.
So
if you're
I
making
think Holy Pally is a bad main. I don't know how people. There's Holy Pally players are gonna get mad at me. I just don't feel like it's enough to enjoy all by itself.
Holy Reckoning's pretty decent. Let's be
Yeah,
real with that.
but we're not talking. I'm talking about deep support. Holy,
No,
it's
agree.
not enough of a game to play by itself, in my opinion. As someone who doesn't really like PVE very much,
No,
it's
agree.
not enough of a game to play by itself to just run around and heal other players and then just get shit on by mages.
That's a different strokes for different folks kind of thing, though. So.
But there are a lot of people that want to play a healer, but they want to play a DPS as their main. And that Holy Paladin's a good niche for them because they can just put a little bit of time into it and have fun healing people and be relatively effective.
Well, what I think is, I would kind of agree in the sense that, right, but I agree with what you're saying, but I also agree that if I was going to be a healer for fun, I would either want to be a priest or I would want to be a druid. And both of those actually have their advantages.
If I wanted to main a healer and go try hard, I would. Yeah. That's like I said. You want to use the English longbow. You want to dedicate time into it and get good at skill.
It's not just that. It's the idea that with the priest, like let's say I decide I'm going to rank with the priest. I'm going to get the rank 13 gear. Okay.
Yep.
What happens then is I can very easily switch between being a shadow priest and between being a holy priest and get these completely different play styles, pretty much with the same gear, right? I don't have to adjust the gear very much. Even with the healing gear, you don't have to adjust it very much.
Well, why can't you make that argument for Ret? I'm just curious.
Because the Ret requires completely different gear set. So not only do you have to go out and get all your healing gear, and then you have to ask for like the healing gear in the raids, like a rejuvenating gem and like scrolls of blinding light and stuff. But then you need an entire.
You're saying the difference is too big because it has melee crit. Like you can kind of mix and match like plus healing with spell damage for a while and hold over, and you'll be fine. But like for Ret, it's like no, I need completely different gear.
Well, I say the major issue is like a rating issue. It's like What are you gonna raid as holy and you're going to ask for ret drops? Like what the fuck? Or are you
Hey
gonna
man, that's what I want to do. That's
or
what I want to do.
are you gonna raid as ret and ask for healing drops? And the point I was making is with the priest, everything crosses over. Like your rank 13 gear is pretty much just as good healing as it is on the DPS side of things. If you actually look
Is
at
it
it,
really?
um,
Maybe I'm just ignorant.
I
I didn't
it's
think it
it's
was, but
spell damage gear, but you just supplement the extra because it's only a 6 piece, right? You just supplement the extra pieces, and it actually crosses over pretty well. You can be like, I'm gonna wear my rank gear because it's more
I'm
durable.
not trying to be annoying, but I really thought that you could make the same argument for holy. Like if you don't have your
You might be able
lawbringer
to.
yet, you can pretty much just get rank 10 and you can go start healing
You might
AQ
be able to.
40.
All right.
I mean, you'd be a little undergeared, but
There's something about the set bonuses that are amazing. I know it reduces your psychic scream. Let me go look really fast. Or we should just keep talking. I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, no,
I mean, I
I
would
think you can cross it
if
over.
you want me to make your argument for you, I would say that like
Well,
there's quite a bigger difference between melee crit
yeah.
and spell power, I mean, plus healing and spell power.
Well, I just think it's a
So
gear issue. It's like there's no problem going both holy and ret if there was no gear issue. And then I'm looking at the priest and I'm like, okay,
I would genuinely agree
they
that it's probably bigger,
they
but
have
it's still
less
there.
they have less of a gear issue because you can either go the rank gear or you can do the healing thing in the raids and just pick up the like hand me downs, like those little pieces of cloth spell power gear that none of the mages want whatsoever, and then that's what you turn into your shadow priest set. And then you use the healing gear that you get to rank because a chlorstrom
Or you
bar.
could get the shadow items that literally say like plus shadow damage only, but you still have to compete with warlocks for that. But
Right.
it's
I suppose you could take the same route with the Holy Paladin, where you get the healing gear from raiding, and then you go and use it to rank, and then you use the ranking gear to PvP. But it's still kind of painful. Druids have a much easier time, also, I think, because of the gear. It's like they just get rained on with gear because there's only like one druid per raid.
a lot of druids like there's a lot of reasons that like you feel like you have to get rank gear as a druid, especially if you're playing feral,
I don't. Yeah, I believe
like the
you.
movement speed and stuff. So
Yeah.
I okay, well I would say that the gearing crossover is probably the worst for ret to holy. I don't know. I don't know.
Ret to holy, holy to ret. It's better to go holy to ret, right? Holy to ret is the path to go, not ret to
Uh,
holy.
yeah, you don't want
But
to start
oh,
ret.
but even that sucks because I have to heal in raids so that I can get the healing gear, so that I can get the rank gear, so that I can go and get the ret gear from the raids. Like I still don't know how I get the ret gear from the raids. You know
You
what I mean?
don't.
Okay,
If
that
you
was
played a ret
fun.
paladin, you just know that you never get gear.
Yeah, so you get the point. It's like there's no path to really gear out there. Where at least
You got to be famous.
at least the with the shadow priest, it's like, oh, all I need to do is rank and get my rank gear and get a little bit of hand me downs, and you're good to go. The problem with shadow priest is you need the rank gear. You
I
need the
just
rank
feel like
gear.
there's not enough to do as deep holy in PvP. If you're a
Well, yeah, we already
PvPer
covered
and
that. We already covered that.
well, I'm just
I
saying.
didn't say it wouldn't be boring. I'm talking about a viable path to get your gear. Like, does a
Okay,
priest have it? Does a druid have it? Does a paladin
I
that
think
wants to
you're
go
wrong.
holy and
If you
ret?
get rank 14, if you get rank 14 as a holy paladin, and then you go 3-piece PvP with like 2-piece off drop Grand Crusader and Axe, or and then like thick obsidian breastplate, or you could do like stronghold gauntlets. You're pretty much set for life. I mean, obviously you can get better gear and Axe and stuff, and that's only as good as AQ40 gear, but you're pretty much set. I mean,
Well,
it's good
well,
enough.
obviously, you know what I think on the subject. I think you just go Holy Reckoning because Holy Reckoning is the easiest thing to gear out. Period. I mean, you're fucking
Yeah, and
always a
it's
Holy
good at
Reckoning
tier
paladin.
two. It's good tier two. It's good Avengers, and it's good with PvP.
That's also good
It's
tier
literally good with
one. I've
all
been
three.
watching Ruklar. What the fuck, bro? How are you making
I
tier
don't
one
know, but
work?
No, it doesn't work. Just people are bad, so I
Oh,
can still
okay,
win.
just checking.
That's why
All right.
it's not actually good with tier 1.
Yeah. You
Um,
were beating my ass with it, but I know why. That's more the spec than the gear.
um, I really want my Ruklar, my alt paladin, to get at least 5-piece tier 2. It's been stuck at 4 forever. Anyways,
All right, so
so actually,
yeah,
Mr. Unarmored WTF,
dwarf,
in general, I
dwarf.
actually agree with you.
I think it's a dwarf, unarmored.
Like,
Oh, armored. What the
I don't know.
WTF? Okay, yeah, interesting.
That's the poster's name. He was like
I know.
trying to
I
hyperbolically.
got it right here. I'm looking at it right now. So
I'm just saying, like, I
have
agree with
you
this guy
have you made all
basically.
the points you want to make? I just want to make sure you've
No,
made
I want to
all the
say one more
points.
thing.
All
One
right.
more thing. The secret to Deep Holy is something we don't know yet, which is how good is that redemption suit?
Mm,
Because if cleanse is scaling even somewhat okay with healing, that might really bump the power level
like it has a 10%
of.
ratio, so you're sitting at like
Yeah,
a
and also I,
thousand
I
plus
noticed a
healing.
big problem
Yeah.
with holy pallies in redemption, and they never fix this, and it bothers me. So there's no at that point in the game, basically, uh, resistance gear is useless. So you might have like 1200 plus healing, right? But if you're getting shadow bolted, like he said, for 4K damage, you're basically dead before you
Yeah.
can like actually use your mana over time, which is how you would win as a holy paladin.
Yeah.
Um, all if you really want to go hardcore support holy paladin, since you have no pre-shields, I can't stress this enough, and this would be profound, and I haven't even got this on live or classic yet. Like, I have no anecdotal evidence to prove this yet, but just I know how the game works. You need burrow trinket. You need you need
You're talking
AGM and burrow
okay, so you're
trinket.
talking bubble.
Like, you need
Yeah,
shielding
yeah.
trinkets
Okay.
to put you over a certain amount of health so you don't instantly give gibbed, and you need to alternate them.
What
None
what
of this double healing.
what
Double
about
healing. So
that?
go like blinding light and burrow.
What about
You need
that
like
uh
anti-burst trinkets.
blinding light? You mean scrolls of blinding light?
Yep. Scroll the
Okay.
blinding light with
Scrolls of
an
blinding
anti-burst
light,
trinket.
AGM, other shielding trinkets. What about the one that gives you resistances temporarily?
So this brings up a good point. Petrified is pretty good in phase 5. The petrified one for
Yeah.
make you 40. If you're still stuck in your judgment,
Ah.
because that 100 resist will help you get past the burst, and it's a lot easier to get than burrow trinket.
Yeah.
Burrow trinket's very hard to get.
And I
So
doubt. Yeah.
if
Continue.
you're still stuck with resist gear, then that 100 and all is actually pretty good because it kind of gets you past the spell pin hump,
I agree.
and then like it'll help you survive and all in. So it's a good holdover trinket until you get a better holdover trinket. But I would get petrified, I would get burrow, and I would get AGM. You need pre-shielding abilities, and
Is this for BGs
going
or
to
for all
this
PvP
is for
encounters?
BGs. This is for battleground holy paladin, because your biggest weakness is you have 5k HP. That's not enough HP in game,
Yeah.
or like even 5.4k HP. That's really not enough HP ultra late game. So you need a trinket. Whereas other classes have some sort of spell power or whatever scaling shield effect of some sort of, like, they can pre-shield themselves, right? So they can survive an all in from casters. You need something to help you survive all in from casters. And I see all the paladins because they're usually all characters, so they're kind of lazy about like they're gonna be like, oh, I need that burrow trinket from the warrior because they're not real competitive about it. But if it's your main, you really more than anything you need an anti-burst trinket to survive all ins, to counter people powering up with their ZHC. Um, can't stress that enough because what's going to happen is you'll get counterspelled and drop before you can like do anything,
I gotcha.
or you'll just Yeah, you'll get
our run
yeah.
away in a straight line trick doesn't do it anymore, is what you're saying.
Yeah, everyone does too much damage at that point. So
Gets
it
grenade
matters more
burst.
for you than other classes too.
That's
And
kind of
it's weird because
yeah.
it's like, well, I have a bubble, but it's like, yeah, it's not enough. You need both. You need bubble and a defensive trinket. And I see all these paladins running around with double healing trinkets,
That
and it's not good. Like
yeah.
blinding light. Sorry, I know I'm going on forever, but
That's fine.
scroll of blinding light is really, I like it more. I think probably than ZHC because it's offensive healing your bodies. Like your heal can heal bodies faster, but if you need to all in heal yourself just to stay alive, plus like burrow trinket, it's like 2 defensive trinkets to help yourself stay alive.
No,
If that
yeah,
makes
no, no.
sense.
Scrolls is actually really good. The other thing I really like about scrolls is it really fucks up people's add-ons, especially if you're going against people who think they're MLG.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm going for a holy light, and they're like, I'm not gonna counterspell the holy light
Till the last second.
Yeah, until the last like half a second. Spell batching. Look at me, I'm amazing.
And they have,
and it goes off at 1.5 seconds, and they're like, wait, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah.
Like their add-on is telling them you're still healing, but the healing already went off, and it freaks them out. How do I put this? Bursty, trinket, bubbles.
What should we say for people that want to go like hardcore?
What about
the ultimate? Because
what about your healing potion and whipper root? Like that would be my first go-to as opposed to the
yeah, and that's another thing. Like because you have shields, you might want to put a little higher emphasis on healing pots. And since you don't have like a all-in preemptive kind of items, like abilities, you might want to go a little heavier on these like instant heal kind of things and stuff.
How would things play out with like Are you sure Obsidian Breastplate's not really
also
the way to
you
go?
have good ratios
Shield
on cleanse. Wait, you have good ratios on cleanse and stuff like, and you have illumination, right?
Yeah.
So like you need mana pot a little less than other classes.
A lot less.
But since you have no you don't have as much like preemptive, you might want to go like it's
I usually
major healths.
Definitely.
You want to focus a little more on that than
some other
classes.
My big question is, where do you think in this bursty phase 5 meta, where do you think Obsidian Breastplate, Obsidian Shield, and improved concentration aura?
It comes out. The shield. Okay, the shield is if you don't have a shield, and you want to start PvPing. It's a really good
what's the
starter
other
shield.
You'd use? That's the fucking heal shield. Why?
Yeah, the dragon shield, because the 5%. It's only one school of magic. The problem. It's not all schools of magic that silences them.
Okay.
The dragon obsidian shield. It's kind of overrated because they could still cast during that time.
Well, I usually think of it against shamans specifically. I don't think of it against mages.
Yeah, I mean they still have all the different types of bolts and stuff. Like they can still now they can't chain lightning you, right?
Yeah.
Well, then they can just like use that time to set up their totems or like kite back a little bit. Sorry. They can still have stuff. They can still frost shock you and stuff. It doesn't last that long if I remember right too.
It's like a 5-second silence, I think.
It's a good starter shield. Like what I would recommend is like, okay, I don't really have a good healing shield yet, but I have a bunch of tier 1, so I have some resist. And I randomly picked up like petrified leaf, so like the spell resist kind of stacks with petrified leaf, and then the petrified leaf kind of makes the tier 1 resist gear not obsolete either. It's just something like to hold you over. I haven't really, and I haven't gone mad into experimenting with it, but a little bit of experimenting I did with it in the past, it kind of felt underwhelming compared to what you want it to do. You want it to fucking silence.
Oh, you mean the shield? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Jagged obsidian shield.
Okay.
You're talking about.
Yeah,
we're talking about jagged.
I agree 100%. It's gonna be underwhelming on its own, which is why I'm starting to think about pairing it with other things. Like I'm pairing it with an obsidian breastplate. I'm pairing it with improved concentration aura. I'm pairing it with a little bit of resist.
Nah. You want to just go like some sort of healing shield for group PvP, because
Oh yeah,
That's just more
for group PvP, I
universal, and
agree. For
it's
group
more.
PvP, I agree. But I'm talking like
Yeah, we're not talking about dueling.
I'm assuming
We're
if
not talking about. We're talking,
I'm assuming if someone's bursting on me, I'm in a pug, right? Because
still,
why are they bursting me and not the other guy?
no.
That's my
I really
question.
think of it more as some sort of dueling item or starter shield.
Okay.
I don't think that shield is worth investing in,
So
really.
you wouldn't even take it in a
Now,
pug. Would you take obsidian breastplate and that shield in a pug?
yes, I'd take Obsidian breastplate in the pug.
Okay.
Especially actually phase 6. If you're all the way okay, so this is some interesting shit.
Mm.
Thick Obsidian breastplate, unless they change it from peace servers, it's the exact same animation as reflectors. And I don't know how many times you see that shadow reflector thing pop up and they just stop casting.
Oh, really? What the
So
fuck?
it's the same animation, man, and the players do not know what to do. And then on top of it,
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Redemption is 8 out of 9. So you can be wearing the
Yeah, you're
thick
right.
obsidian breastplate
And
under
have
your
redemption.
tabard, and they'll have
Yeah.
no idea what's
Yeah, I
going on,
know.
and you're not
I
giving
know.
up
Oh
set
god.
bonuses at
Oh
all.
god. Okay, it actually gets
It's
worse. I've seen the exact same thing with Uther's strength. Like Uther's strength pops and they think you bubbled. So they stop
yep.
casting on you. And it's
But that
like
one's a little bit easier. Like the other one, you can't tell, man. You can't tell. It looks like an ice reflector. Unless you have the add-on, you're watching your add-on carefully, you won't tell.
That's
So people will
hilarious.
stop. I think at higher end,
Yeah.
the players are going to be better, and they're going to be like, okay,
No,
they're
they're
going to know what it
not.
is.
They're not. Okay, so
Okay, maybe.
shut
Okay,
up.
but
Shut
here's
up.
the thing.
No.
Maybe not the first time, the second time, but the third time this happens,
Right,
they're
but
gonna be like, okay,
all
I
right.
know what this shit is now.
Right, but here's the
Yeah, you.
problem. Yeah, they might figure out the obsidian breastplate thing, but people on the high
Yeah.
end of the spectrum, they're always trying to go MLG and push the limits and look cool, so they have an entirely different spectrum of fucking things up. You know what I mean? Like they're going for the grenades at like the last possible second to interrupt your heal, and then they're getting spell batched, or
What does happen?
they're trying to all in you when it's a little bit iffy if they can do it or not, especially if you have a certain trinket that you can
Yeah, but
use.
we're still talking about group fighting, right?
When you went high end. Okay, yeah, okay, you're right. High end PvP. Yeah,
We're still talking about group
you're right.
fighting.
You're right. I'll shut up. But I'm
So
just saying that.
you're talking about things that are gonna be coming into 1v1s, and I'm talking about
Yeah.
this is something that will happen in a group fight against a high end player. They'll see the thing pop above their head, and they'll be like, "Oh, they'll just stop."
Okay.
I mean, especially pug fighting. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think
totally.
Thick Obsidian breastplate has a place in the world, and it's really. If you want to talk about dueling, it's super good against like soda popping strategy where it's like rank 1,
Okay.
arcane and nature spells as a druid
I think it'd be
because
really good
it
against
can pop off.
elemental shamans. I'm really excited to use it against
It,
Ellies.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but
Any hit points versus Ellies is gold in my book.
it also
Any
depends how it works because on peace servers, like if you're fighting an SOR paladin, I
Yeah,
shouldn't talk about this. It's gonna get
it
us
would like double
allies
proc.
raped.
Yeah.
But each one of the Seal of Righteousness could proc it.
Yeah.
Thick
Well,
Obsidian
it's
breastplate.
probably going to be that way because SOR does double reflect damage. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's really. I think it's gonna be meta
it counts as
paladin
two
v
melee
paladin.
hits. It counts as two melee hits. That's what I've been noticing. Yeah.
So,
Yep. So are we done talking about this? Is that the end of the video? Get anything else you want to say on the subject?
yeah. Well, okay. So I kind of bashed on Holy.
All right.
In the light at the end of the tunnel here will obviously, and even when I was complimenting it, I was kind of backhanding it because I was like saying it's a high floor, low ceiling still,
Okay.
which does have its place in this game. But
Wait a minute.
here's
Time out.
the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know how
Yeah.
good redemption is. We
There's that.
we
Yeah.
really like don't know. So
Whoa. Can I say time?
um,
Can I say timeout real fast?
I'm done. What?
Why is it that everybody and their dog tries to say that healing paladins do not have a high ceiling of skill cap?
Be it's a relatively. I mean, all the classes, everything that.
I think a lot of the high end ceiling of skill for the holy paladin comes from just knowing what the fuck to do. Like, we've been sitting here, and if you haven't noticed, you have strategies that'll work that I didn't know about, and I have strategies that'll work that you didn't know about.
Well, I mean, once you figure out when to time sack and I mean,
How
I
to
think a
use your
lot of it is
buff,
around.
how to use your freedom,
That's not that many things,
it's
though.
literally how to use your time, right? And to understand your place and what the enemy can do to you.
Yeah, but that's not that. That's not that high
I
of a
know it's
skill
not
cap.
that high, but then people, it's like
It's higher than most people have time for.
95% of paladins won't do that.
Yeah,
They won't get there. So how am I
but
supposed to sit here and say, "Yo, dogs, this is easy. You should be doing this," and yet
well,
95%
I
of
feel
them
like the
can't manage
poster
it.
was bringing
So
up a higher. The guy who originally posted this thing was really talking about stuff that probably won't apply to your average player, but it is in fact true. I
yeah.
don't know. Most of the, they just run around hitting holy light and then they get mad when it fails. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can make more plays with druid and priest. So if you take the time to invest in the
Priest
class,
definitely takes way more skill cap there. There's a
I don't
whole
know.
different world.
I feel a little underqualified as I have not played those other classes, but what I've seen, I think it's true. I think paladins are slightly lower ceiling and definitely a higher, definitely kind of higher floor. So you're saying like you can't call it the floor when other people aren't doing it.
Well, no.
Is that what you're saying?
What I'm literally saying is this: I agree with you that there's a high ceiling to a paladin, but I'm saying that high ceiling, meaning
I said lower ceiling. Lower ceiling, high floor.
Yeah, whatever.
Like if you just entry level holy paladin, you're fighting in a pug, you're gonna be effective.
And then low ceiling means it's easy to get good.
Yeah, lower ceiling. Okay. I'm not gonna say low ceiling.
Easy to play
lower ceiling.
Easy to play at a high level, and also easy to get really good at it. Double easy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, double easy. It's only bad when you're fighting someone who's good.
Agreed.
I don't know.
But
we're butchering that.
Here's what I'm trying to say: is it's like I agree from a skill perspective that it's double easy. I disagree from a cognitive perspective that it's double easy, because you need to have the intelligence level to at least try to figure out where the best use to get that high level of ceiling. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, this guy has.
I think all the classes can make that same argument, so I disagree. But
right, but I think other classes have some skill involved, right? Whereas we just need to know what to do when to do it, right? We need to do this under these conditions and this other thing under these conditions, and avoid doing this under these conditions. It's not that the button clicking's not the difficult part. Am I wrong about that? Like I look at a priest, right? And a priest.
I just kind of disagree with how you're framing all this, but it's okay.
A priest has a bunch of shit to track. He's got to track healing. He's got to track his positioning. He's got to track literally the positioning of himself and the enemies. He's got to track his dispels, and he's got to track his
offensive and defensive.
Right, his offensive and defense, and then he has to know precisely when he's going to be using his instant cast bubble and when he's not going to.
Usually has, because he's not as mana efficient, he has to downrank more.
And there's that. A little more. Yeah. So there's a lot more that really needs to be known under those circumstances. Whereas with the paladin, you just have to get out of the idea that you're the central healer. It's your job to keep people alive. It's your job.
Yeah, but that's easy. That's my point. That's high. You just you basically get the notion out of your head that you're most effective just spamming one button.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Holy Light and focus on some of the other aspects. That's not that hard to learn.
Right. No, I agree.
I don't know.
I agree, but then I look at the Paladin player base and they don't get.
I don't think either one of us is making a point. We should cut this part out of the video.
Well, what I'm trying to say, people are dumb. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Am I wrong about that? So when I go into BGs and I see other healers spamming nothing but Flash of Light, they're spamming nothing but Flash of Light.
I'm so guilty of this sometimes.
They're spamming nothing but Flash of Light, And I'm using Holy Light, and I'm like, dude, I think you're doing it wrong. Because I think Holy Light just heals more, and we just need healing. It's like, I don't give a fuck if I'm overhealing. I don't give a fuck if I'm mana inefficient. Just keep this bitch alive. Then there's situations where I'm spamming Holy Light. All of a sudden, a mage comes around. And I'm not healing no more. Especially if my bubble's on cooldown. I'm like, okay, shit. I need to go and start cleansing. I need to use my bop. I need to try to see. I need to be wary of the counterspell is basically what I'm saying. I'll heal if I have to, but I'm not doing that. But my point is, it's like, I have a priority list. My priority list is, are my other healers CC'd or not? Can I do anything about it? If they're not CC'd and I can't do any. If they're not CC'd, then I'm free to heal stuff. But even then, it's risky because I might get counterspelled and they might get CC'd. They might get turned into sheep.
Okay, but at that point, you're in checkmate because what if you have to heal and you can't because you only have Holy Light? Like, you can bubble. So you have one chance to get out of checkmate.
Then, at that point, it's a positioning issue, right? I'm being dead serious.
You have to
about
position out of a blinking mage, which is pretty hard.
No, you don't even position out of the blinking mage. You just make sure that all the healers aren't centralized. So the mage can't blink, counterspell you, and then immediately go into sheeping a priest. They have to let's say the priests are far on the left and you're kind of far on the right. So if they come to counterspell you, at least they can't sheep another healer immediately after, right? They got to waddle their happy ass into range. So to me, that becomes a positioning issue. I shouldn't be standing with the rest of the priests. I should be kind of off on my own.
Yeah, but don't you think other classes have like the same level of just generic kind of positioning based on? I just don't think that's special. I just think that's part of the game. It might change slightly with the other classes. So yeah. I'm gonna stick with they have a high floor and a slightly lower ceiling.
All right, easy.
So they're frustrating to play when you're fighting good players.
Easy. I will agree that once you figure out what you're supposed to be doing, then it becomes very easy to execute. Because it took me a long time to figure out that I couldn't just flash of light. I needed to Holy Light. And then it took me a long time to figure out I couldn't just Holy Light. Like, I'm not, it's not like I got on the battlefield and I'm like, oh, I figured this out instantly. It's like, because for a long time I'm like, oh, I used to be that guy who wouldn't start healing the warrior until the warrior charged in. And then I learned, no, I have to be healing this fucker even before he charges in. And I have to encourage him that it's okay to charge in by putting my freedom on him. Like, keep the freedom on him at all times, right? Just in case he wants to go in. Because, again, it's a global cooldown issue. I don't have the time
to waste. Freedom. He's going to run past your line. Anyways.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. I mean.
I don't know. I tried to figure out ways to solve the problem.
So, I'm going to summarize it. We basically agree with this guy. And except he's being too hyperbolic and he's not describing like lower end scenarios very well.
Well, I think the only thing we disagree with is he's bringing up all the bad points, but he's not bringing up the good points of why you bring a paladin. And that's just kind of what we're pointing out. It's like, yeah, we agree with all this is bad. We agree that all this sucks. There's kind of some things you can do against it. There's definitely reasons why you want to bring a paladin. So be consciously aware of all those reasons why you would want, why your team wants a paladin, and then play into why they want a paladin. They want you for...
So cleanse.
Yeah, they want you for your fucking cleanse. They want you for your bubble, specifically to cleanse. They don't want you for your bubble to heal. They want you primarily for your bubble to cleanse.
Okay.
And they want you for your bop. Your use of your bop is precious. That is amazing to use. It's like, oh, let me just throw it on the warrior.
Mortal Strike.
Yeah, Mortal Strike's gone, so now the heals are super effective. And if you're coordinating, he can whip a root and pop a healing potion, which just completely shuts down.
Yeah.
And if that shutdown is long enough, which it typically is, then your priests are out of counterspell, and the moment they come out of counterspell, they're putting the bubbles up, and then they're going into their heals, and from that point on, the horde is kind of fucked. The other thing I've done, okay, listen to this, Drakova. I completely forgot about this tactic, okay? The other thing I really like to do at the higher levels as the paladin is I hang way back. What I mean by that is, let's say the priests are about like 25, 30 yards away from the warrior doing their thing. I will sit about 40 or 50 yards away from the warrior. And from a cleansing perspective, it's like, hey, I'm not letting these priests get fucking cleansed.
Yeah, you're just cleansing them, and you're popping heals on the priest.
Yeah, and I might even be mounted. So it's like, okay, if you don't even if you do the counterspell route, I'm just gonna dive in with the mount. I'm gonna come off the mount. I'm gonna hit the blessing of protection on the warrior. But he's gonna do the pot heal thing, and then I'm gonna go into my heals. And now it's like, it's kind of scary when the paladin hangs real far back, is what I'm saying. That's a tactic you can look into. It might work, it might not work. I don't know what to really think about it, but I'm not sure if it works in the high ends, but I know it works in the mediocre.
It works in. I do that.
You do that as ret?
Yeah, medium.
You like hang way back and be like.
No, I play holy sometimes once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, whatever.
I hang back.
Your cleanse.
It depends on if there's a lot of mages, I'm more likely to hang back like that and wait.
But yeah, so that's what my BG video is basically all about. Is me blathering away about how it's all about the cleanse, cleanse. It's all about the cleanse, and I'll point.
And
it out
even late game, it still might be about the cleanse, depending on how redemption works.
There's that too. So just so we're absolutely clear, the reason why I keep saying it's about the cleanse is because 3 priests cannot deal with sheeps. They're going to like CC one of them, like scattershot or grenade them. They might trinket out of it. They might not trinket out of it, but they'll just get CC'd again. They're going to sheep the other 2 priests, and that's kind of the end of it. Or they might sap 1 priest, and then they sheep 2 other priests. Maybe you can get out of sap with lip, though. I don't know. But yeah, you're there for your cleanse, because it pushes sheep.
Bally.
What?
I for your viewers' sake, we should have ended this 25 minutes ago.
Well, I have a question.
Not that you're saying is wrong. It's just at this point we're more theorizing and talking to ourselves than talking to them.
So I have a quick question. How does the Horde deal with CC pressure? Do they just deal with it by being offensive?
Deal with the Holy Palace?
No, what I'm saying is, if the Alliance have 3 mages, how does Horde counter that? Like, the mages are coming in to sheep all 3 of their priests. How do they deal with that?
I mean, they have Ellie Shaman back up and stuff like.
Ellie Shamans can't cleanse; they can heal, I suppose. Backup heal.
I guess they just position it. I actually don't know. I don't play Horde
either. So you can.
That's for somebody else to answer.
And that's
they trinket some of them. Maybe they put a bigger emphasis on carrying some sort of trinket, or they have some sort of.
Maybe they use their. Oh, what they probably do is they probably juggle.
It's kind of hard to land 3 sheeps. I mean.
They probably juggle their a skull. No, skull.
They probably have a druid healer, just shapeshifts out, holds over.
They probably juggle their skulls of impending doom. That's the only answer I can think of off the top of my head.
I do think they just have a druid healer hold it over until.
Well, they can juggle it because they only need one of them to get out of the sheeps with a skull of impending doom, and then he can purge the other guys. Oh no, purge doesn't work. He can cleanse the other ones, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's why you bring a paladin. He's the anti other kinds of hard CC, and then only counterspell really gets through. Just find a way to deal with counterspell, and you're pretty much good to go. Make sure your fucking warrior's using his healing potions. For the love of God, like, communicate with him. Be like, yo, dog, I'm gonna bop you, and when I bop you, I want you to heal pot and whipper root. Do we understand each other? Okay. All right, good. You have a lot more success that way.
All right.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Sorry I dragged on at the end. Dave's fault.
Didn't drag us down. What are you talking about? All right, later, man.